Welcome to Murrayfield. Round 2 of the Six Nations 2024 starts right here. We're going to be bringing you Scotland against France here on 5 Sports Extra. Coming up later, of course, all attention will turn to Twickenham, where England are hosting Wales. That one will start here on Sports Extra before moving on to 5 Live. And then, of course, tomorrow it's going to be Ireland against Italy, a 3 o'clock kickoff at the Aviva Stadium. You can find all of that here on Sports Extra and, of course, on BBC Sounds. BBC Sounds also the place where you can find everything you need across the Six Nations. The Rugby Union Daily podcast, the BBC Scotland podcast, the Scrum 5 podcast, you name it, it is there. Go and find it. My name is Sara Orchard. I'm here at Murrayfield. We're waiting for the teams to emerge at the moment out of the tunnel beneath us. When they do actually come out, the Princess Royal is here as well, so she will be greeting the teams, and when she's actually here and out onto the field, that's when we'll actually run you through the 2 lineups. So, of course, Scotland come into this after that win over Wales last week. What a win it was. 1 point, little bit tense towards the end if we've got any Scotland fans tuned in already. France, of course, looking to come back from the huge disappointment of that absolutely thumping loss that they had in Marseille against Ireland. And alongside me for this one, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by former Scotland international, but also man who lives and spends his days completely ensconced in French rugby. It's Johnnie Beattie. How are you?
Nervous? Would that be after the PTSD that was thrust upon the Scottish rugby public last weekend? Nervous but excited, looking forward to what should be an incredible test match. But yeah, Scotland won the first game, first chance to go 2 from 2 in a long time. Again, the French side, as you mentioned, wounded, emotional, a reaction expected from them and their setup.
Well, I will run you through the 2 lineups in a few moments' time, but the big news that's happened at Murrayfield in the last hour or so was that we were told Kyle Steyn had to withdraw himself from the starting 15. That's because his wife has gone into labour. Now, it's caused quite a reshuffle in this Scotland lineup because there was no one really on the bench when you've got Horn, Healy and Redpath who could come straight in and change that. So they've had to bring in Harry Patterson, 22 years old, full-back from Edinburgh on debut. He was already in the Scotland squad, but he's going to be a travelling reserve ultimately. So he's going to come in and start, and he's going to wear 15, and he's pushed Kyle Rowe to 14. I mean, it's absolutely enormous news, is the first thing to say. I'm just looking next to me, Johnnie Beattie. You were actually with the Patterson family yesterday, but you had no idea. So not the Patterson family, the Steyn family yesterday. Who were you with yesterday?
All of them.
All of them.
So
right,
actually,
okay.
I was at a charity lunch for the Wooden Spoon, raising crucial funds, and I was with his father, Stephen Patterson. He obviously didn't know at that stage, and then later on the evening, I was walking down George Street, and Kyle Steyn ran past me in the other direction. I'm only assuming now to get to hospital. So all kicking off in the Scotland camp, but for youngster Patterson, I mean, what an opportunity. No stress, in you go. First start, huge game. So big excitement for their family.
Well, you can tell Johnnie Beattie is trying to talk that up. There will be some concerns from some Scottish fans of Harry Patterson coming in for what is an absolutely enormous fixture for his debut. His opposite number, none other than Thomas Ramos, who will be licking his chops at the opportunity to move him around all round in the back park. Right, the teams are in the tunnel. France are there ready and waiting, but we're just waiting for Scotland to emerge from the dressing room. But both teams, when they come out, the first person out onto the field will be Damien Penaud. The Bordeaux wing will be first onto the field because it is the occasion of his 50th cap. Damien Penaud must be a team that if you play fantasy rugby, he's got to be in there. There's no 2 ways about it. He's an absolute scoring machine. Went over again last week, even though France were on the losing side. 5 tries in his last 3 games. 36 tries in total, his 50th test today. He's not just a French favourite, Johnny, he's a rugby favourite.
It's unbelievable to watch. And again, if you talk to his teammates, completely different personalities, you know, they describe him as almost like a Steve Stifler from American Pie, completely out there, doesn't take anything too seriously. But my oh my, you put a rugby ball in his hands, absolutely electric, wonderful athlete, great finisher, can create something from nothing, and one of the best talents we've seen on the world rugby landscape over the past 10 years. Superb athlete.
And here Penaud comes out. He's got his socks down round his ankles. He hasn't even put his arm up to recognise the reception that he's had here. He knows that he is at Murrayfield. Now, there is quite a decent French contingent here. The Berets have been out in strength around the whole of Edinburgh. But here comes the teams. The flames fly into the Murrayfield sky. The flags are also being waved. I can see the lone piper is already ready to go up on the roof for the anthems as France line up on the left-hand side and Scotland come out onto the right-hand side. Now, I have to say, quite sensibly, it is quite chilly here in Edinburgh today. It's around 5 degrees at the moment. Scotland have come out in full tracksuits, and you don't blame them really, because we've got quite a lot of formality to get through before we actually kick this one off. We've got the Princess Royal who's about to come out, and we've also got the anthems to get through as well. So we've got a little bit of a way to go, about 8 minutes. So they're just making their announcement now around the stadium, marking that rugby will in no way accept any kind of hate or racism at all, which we always respect and welcome, as both teams now have just slightly shuffle and move themselves back inside because they lined up a little bit too far away from each other. And here comes the Princess Royal to come and meet the teams, and we'll just wait for her to emerge, and once she emerges I will run through the two lineups for you. So she is there, she's alongside the Chief Exec of the SRU, who's going to bring her out onto the field and be introduced to all of the players alongside. It's actually the president of the SRU who's making his way out. It's Colin Rigby who's alongside her to introduce them to the team. So right, whilst that is going on, Johnny and I are going to chat team news. Right, let's start off with France. 2 changes for them, the side that lost to Ireland last week. As I say that, I think they might do the anthems, so I'm just going to check before the Princess Royal doesn't move. Yes, we're having anthems first. Okay, not anthems. This is just the music that the Princess Royal is welcomed onto the field for. And so we're not having anthems, so we are safe to go through all of the lineups. Right then, starting off at fullback for France, Thomas Ramos continues wearing 15 on his back. On the wings, Damien Penaud wearing his 50th cap is on the right wing, and then we get a start for Louis Biel-Barry of Bordeaux on the other wing. Into the centres, Jonathan Danty and Gaël Ficou continue. Mathieu Jalibert wears 10, with Maxime Lucu, who no doubt has the weight of the world on his shoulders right now, who'd like a strong performance after last week. He wears 9. Moving into the forwards, it's an unchanged front row. You've got Cyril Bay, Pieter Movaca and Winnie Antonio. And then into the second row, this is where we get the change. So, of course, Paul Valemsa, he got a red card last week. Cameron Woki comes in. He's a strong line-out operator, so I don't think there'll be too many concerns about that with Paul Gabrielard, who scored a try last week alongside. And then the back row made up of Francois Crowe, Charles Olivant and then Gregory Aldrich, who, of course, captains with 8 on his back. On the French bench, you've got Marchand, Tafa Fenua, Oladigeri, Tuilangi, the big man that is, Romain, Bourdon, Le Garec and Mofana. It's a 6-2 split on the bench. Moving on to Scotland, so that big news. Harry Patterson starts wearing 15 for his Scotland debut. Kyle Rowe is on one wing with Duan van der Merwe on the other. Into the centres, Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones. And then that regular halfback combination now of Finn Russell and Ben White. Moving into the forwards, Pierre Schoeman, George Turner and Xander Fakeson are your unchanged front row. Change there in the second row. Grant Gilchrist is back from his ban. Of course, we have seen there is injuries now to Richie Gray and Luke Crosby that have caused some of these changes in the Scottish forwards. Scott Cummins continues at 5 with Matt Fageson, who wore 8 last week, now wearing 6. Rory Darge, captain Scotland, co-captain we should say, with 7 on his back, and Jack Dempsey is in at 8. Moving on to the bench, you've got Ewan Ashman, Alec Hepburn, Elliot Millar-Mills, Sam Skinner, Andy Christie comes in to wear 20, George Horn, Ben Healy and Cameron Redpath, as the Princess Royal now makes her way across the other side of the field to meet the Scottish players. So, first of all, France, what do you make of the changes there?
I guess one, Paul Valemsa, after picking up his red card, banned, but their line-out was an absolute shambles. You had their backroom staff has been cleared out. Laurent Saint-Péry, the forwards coach from Stade Francais, has come in. New job for him, and they lost 7 line-outs last week. They were absolutely embarrassed in that department by the Irish, so they've had to make a change. I was surprised that Woki didn't start initially. He's now back in because it gives another option. He's there to call and co-call with Charles Olivant, the captain, but that's a big area they're going to have to shore up. And the other option in the back line has been Biel-Barry coming back in. He was electric during the World Cup. He's a guy that's been clocked at 39 kilometres an hour during their pre-season. He is a freakish athlete. So you lose maybe a little bit of physicality if Moefana shuffling out, but you bring in absolute gas and wheels in Biel-Barry. He is phenomenal. And then for Scotland, yes, they enforced changes. Patterson The big one for me is Rory Darge coming back in, us having an open side, an out-and-out fetch out. What can that give us? Can that generate some turnover ball, unstructured play that we can strike some sort of attacking play into the French and score cheap points? He will be influential. Co-captain today, future as Finn Russell retires eventually, probably the future captain for Scotland. His physicality, his presence will be absolutely required today if Scotland are going to beat France.
Right then, the Princess Royal has made her way to the end of all of the players. She's now going to go and make her way back and go and find her seat. Should tell you that's Johnnie Beattie alongside me talking us through this one. Is going to be here with us on Sports Extra. Right, if you want all of the build-up, of course, throughout the whole of the Six Nations, don't forget you can download the Rugby Union Daily podcast. I managed to catch up with former Scotland captain John Barclay for this morning's offering, but of course there will be on-the-whistle action for both here at Murrayfield and from Twickenham in your inboxes, or wherever you download your podcast first thing tomorrow morning. Right then, it is time for the anthems. Chance for me to have a little bit of a break and respect as La Marseillaise begins. Scotland against France is coming up shortly, but next, Flower of Scotland.
Led by our lone roof piper, Claire Wilton.
Something about that anthem at Murrayfield. If you are not ready for round 2 of the Six Nations, you never will be. And I can tell you, the cameras were focused in on Harry Patterson. If he wasn't feeling pressure, oh my goodness, is he now, when you see your big face up on that screen and you just know everyone is looking at you saying, come on, my son. You put a sweet in your mouth, Johnnie Beattie, just to say that.
I look at it the other way. I mean, these are moments that I dreamt of. Everyone dreams of as a kid. So he's been given this present. He comes in with no expectation. There's no pressure. He hasn't been part of the full prep. So now go and enjoy it. Your family's local. They're in Edinburgh. Come to the stadium if they manage to get a ticket. I hope they manage to get a ticket. But that's it. This is the biggest competition. Absolutely wonderful spectacle. Full house at Murrayfield between Scotland and France. All the Lions, what a game to get your first start in. I mean, incredible. You couldn't make it up.
Okay, right then, just a reminder, Scotland have won this fixture 3 out of the last 4 times they have played against France. But the last time we were here at Murrayfield, it was France who came away with the win, 36 points to 17. It was a bit of an odd fixture when they played in Paris last year. That was because we had those really early red cards. You might remember Grant Gilchrist got one, and then about 4 minutes later it was Mohamed Hawass. So that sort of like slightly skewed that fixture somewhat. But the last time that they actually won here at Murrayfield against the French, it wasn't that World Cup warm-up, but again we've spoken, that was a little bit of an odd fixture with the team that France actually put out. They were sort of blooding all of their youngsters ahead of the World Cup to really see who'd get the nod and get into that French squad for the World Cup. Right then, the last time we saw these two sides play, neither of them really came off the pitch satisfied. Scotland just about satisfied with a 1-point win over Wales after 22 years of hurt in Cardiff. However, France, are they going to react? What a tough result it was against Ireland. It finished France 17, Ireland 38. Surely they will want a reaction today. Our referee for this one is Nick Berry of Australia. And it will be Scotland who get us underway then. Travelling from left to right, it's Scotland who send the ball down the field. France receive it deep inside of their 22. France wearing their white shirts today with navy blue shorts and red socks. And France will be travelling from right to left as we sit here and just hear Allez le Bleu start going out around Murrayfield. It just shows you how many travelling fans there are here today as the ball goes high from the French as they try and clear back towards the halfway line. It's been gathered by Scotland, far side of the field, 5 metres out. If you're joining us here on 5 Sports Extra, you join us in the opening minute of this Six Nations match between Scotland and France. 0-0 as Scotland have it on the halfway line, just waiting for it to emerge out the back. Ben White is there, but it's slow ball. France have done a wonderful job at slowing this down as Nick Berry just warns all the players to get out of the way. It's sent back by Scotland. It's gathered out on the far side of the field and they call for the mark straight away. Reasonably calm to start off with so far, but we do have a little bit of treatment now going on to Pietro Moavaca. The referee is not bothering to check in on him, and it was a mark, so it's not too concerning from the French. They haven't found touch there. Finn Russell sends it back down the field, so we're playing on for the time being. Gathered out the back there with Matthew Jalibert, 10 on his back of course. Still a lot of chopping and changing in this French squad at the moment, perhaps not the most settled of faces. Had Ontamac there, of course, until he got his injury until the World Cup. Jalibert coming in, and then of course Luku there at 9. But France have won a bit of the territory game there, but it is a Scotland lineup.
Territory gain, and again they won't give an inch. Early settlers, nothing in their half. Again, Finn Russell to kick the ball long down into French territory.
And the bouncing ball at the moment at the back of the field. Penaud is there, uses his right boot. It's a really low kick as well. Really nice touch finder there by Penaud. Just manages to push Finn Russell to the far side of the field. And again, Scotland, they're stuck in exactly the same position they were before. It's another lineup in their own half between the 10 and the 22.
And I managed to catch up with a few of the French staff. Last night they were just talking through their game plan. They were down on the field, heavy field, obviously wet, slippy ball. There'll be no risk in their half. Everything opposition end of the field, try and squeeze errors, penalties and turnovers in the right areas of the field, and that's exactly how they started this game.
Scotland 0, France 0, 2.5 minutes on the clock. George Turner waiting to get the ball in, goes towards the middle, collected in the air by Gilchrist. Gilchrist returning from a ban after a couple of yellow cards he got a few weeks back as the ball comes down. They're trying to maul this one away, the Scots on the far side. They're still about 15 metres out, and it had released out the back, but it's been knocked on by Scotland, and here comes a chance for France to come on the counter. They're spinning it out wide. A big run coming up there, I have to say. Great work by Kyle Rowe to get rid of any danger that could have been coming there from France. Round the corner they come once again. Better from the French, working the hard yards. A little bit more muscularised from the forwards as Luku manages to make the ball towards the middle of the park, and Bai takes it forward. Still French ball inside of the Scottish half. Pierre Barry, he manages to pop it off nicely there to Olivant. He offers the weight to go further, but it's a penalty for Scotland. Holding on the floor there by Olivant. And Scotland get a chance to clear their lines.
And it's Rory Darge, that's why he's there, co-captain. France just leave that half second of daylight between the ball carry and the clear. Rory Darge, the body position and the height that he gets himself into. Guy Barry misses the clear out. Big penalty for Scotland because they were under pressure there. Big French carriers coming round the corner, achieving gain line. Worrying signs for Scotland, but big moment for Rory Darge.
Johnnie Beattie here with us on 5 Sports Extra for Scotland against France in round 2 of the Six Nations, 0-0, and that penalty from Scotland, that was a really hard angle for Finn Russell to get some decent metres on it, and he's done it brilliantly. He's managed to land that one just outside of the French 22 by about a metre, and Scotland now have an attacking line-out. George Turner, of course, in the sin bin last week against Wales, makes his way up to get this ball in for the forwards. And now you hear the calls of Scotland coming out around Murrayfield. They go long towards the back, taken cleanly in the air, popped up. They're not going to try and suck this one. They're moving it fast towards the middle of the field. Through the guts of the park goes Hugh Jones. He's got a player on his shoulder as well, but they've knocked on the ball on the floor. So France get a chance to bring it back. Luku is there. He's just asked for a little bit more support. They were a little concerned that there was a little too much Scotland coming over the top of that. The kick comes in, it goes out of play on the far side of the field. The flag is up, but they were just waiting to see what was going on. Now we've got a Scotland player down injured at the moment in the field. I'm trying to see who that is. It looks like it's Hugh Jones.
It was a very enterprising launch play by Scotland. They actually worked their way into the middle of the field, but Hugh Jones, as he was trying to release that ball, got caught man and ball. He does not look happy. Looks like it's his ankle.
Well, they've got Cam Redpath on the bench, but nobody wants to use anyone on the bench after 5 minutes.
And again, just the quality of that ball, Roy Darge offering the turnover, the penalty allows them to get up into French 22. Scotland need to translate that field position, the territory, into points. And again, they didn't even get through first phase. It looked terrific, but the execution on the gain line, cough the ball back up and France get out of jail.
Okay, Hugh Jones is now getting to his feet and he's just testing out an ankle. I can tell you that Cam Redpath is bouncing up and down in the technical area with his coat and his bib still on. He's not been asked to strip off just yet. And as Jones just goes up and down on his ankle a little bit more, the DJ decides to step in and put a little bit of sound and music through the speakers to entertain the crowd.
Well, he's trying to drown out the Marseillaise. That's what we're getting a rendition. It's 23,000 Frenchmen in here. Last time they came there were 25,000, but again, the love of the World Cup, the French reinvigorated, falling back in love with their side, even though it wasn't to be their competition. Massive support travelling across.
Well, Hugh Jones is back on his feet and he is joining the attacking line, so he's okay to carry on. Redpath stays on the bench. Far side of the field, Scotland 0, France 0. Scotland line out inside of their own half. They've had 3 line outs now in exactly the same place between the 10 and the 22. Right then, the ball is stuck in a maul at the moment. Turner has it at the back. He just presented it there to Ben White. White didn't want it. He wanted this one to keep moving. They've moved about 5 metres and then they go for the box kick from White. Going to come down on the halfway line, taken there by Luku, who was there waiting, so no scrum half at the moment. Have a couple of forwards to continue duties. This time taken on by Aldreet, who eventually manages to get back down to the earth. He's got a bit of support over the top by Gabriel Arg as well.
That's fine, that's a good counter up.
Luku, he's got a bit of space now, and the Luku box kicking is already going better than it was last week, is all you need to know. A little bit of footwork comes in out on the far side. Ball goes down to floor. Scottish ball inside of their own half. This time we get to see Turner just working it forwards. Schoeman gets back to his feet after the last breakdown and gets down and provides a little bit more of a muscle on the floor to secure the ball. White is just directing a few more forwards so he can clear the box kick down the field. And it is going to come down for the French. Penaud can't take it cleanly. It's a bouncing ball and Scotland have that. That was a great kick chase. And here comes Scotland on the counter. They're up to the 10-metre line inside of French territory. Russell, he does a nice little pass. Tuipulotu is there. This is good work. Van der Merwe gets it away. And here comes the man on debut, Patterson, back inside. Really nice. Oh, is this going to be a try for Scotland? They're going to slide over. What a try for Scotland. All the backs played their part in that. A big moment as they go over. They're 5 on the board. It's Scotland 5, France 0, and that was all on the counter and calmly executed by the backs.
Oh, it's been a slow start. Both teams feeling each other out. Going to the air is the contest again. The ball, one in the air. And when Scotland actually had the ball, very smart. They're playing off a second receiver, Tuipulotu being the pivot, managing to draw in that blitz defence, and it's Harry Patterson making the half break, linking, and Ben White bounding over. What a start for Scotland. no possession. They've converted their first real opportunity. Lovely sleight of hand by Hugh Jones as well. Scotland 5-0 up.
I was initially concerned when Patterson had the ball because he tucked it under an arm, which is always a slight concern, but he almost like tempted Fiku in by doing it to make the tackle.
And then had the skill set, the technical ability to free that arm.
Yeah.
Beautiful, deft offload.
Went really well. Right,
Kept
we're waiting.
the ball alive. Great stuff.
Waiting now for Russell with the conversion hit, his first kick at goal. Just 20 metres from this near side. That one's easy enough for Russell. So Scotland on the board here early. It's Scotland 7, France 0. Ben White with the try, Russell with the conversion, and France still with everything to do, not just in this match but in the Six Nations as well. They haven't had one mini attack, but they haven't had an attack yet inside of the Scottish 22. As from the restart the ball goes high, gathered by Matt Fagerson, of course wearing 8 last week, the Glasgow man, as he takes the ball down to floor inside of the Scottish 22. White, the try scorer, just waiting to try and eat away a little bit of the clock, keep things nice and calm for his side as it comes towards this near side, the ball, and it finds the arms of Thomas Ramos. Ramos running it over the halfway. He's really straightened up his line there. And still going, Thomas Ramos. No one's taken him down. There was about 5 blue shirts that had a go at him. No one actually put him down on the grass. And going forward now is Bai. Bai manages to take it into strong contact. Jalibert with the distribution. Antonio is there. As you hear the heave go up from the crowd, they want to see him run. Dante now, he pushes towards the far side. Ramos gets it to Peno. The 50 capper goes down to ground. No doubt he'll get on the score sheet. He always does as it goes back inside. This time taken forward by Aldreet, making himself really tricky for the Scots to in any way tackle down to the earth. And this is better from France, the kind of attack we haven't seen in a long time. Jalibert, he has to take it down to the ground. Luku manages to get up. Peno, once again we see a run from the captain in Aldreet. He's 5 metres away from the try line. Luku back inside to Beattie, who's hanging out on the left hand wing. Here's the big blow on the whistle.
Okay, 7's good, no advantage. Blue offside, number 4.
Okay, the warning there against Grant Gilchrist. So France with a penalty inside of the Scottish 22, middle of the field.
France just showing how difficult they are to bring down. Thomas Ramos with the initial break. Scotland slipping off tackles, allowing France back into the heart of their 22. I think it was Grant Gilchrist just strayed offside after that line break. But again, big, powerful men, solid carries, hard to break down. And weirdly, at the start of this game, I thought it might be quite a damp, turgid affair. But some of the rugby, the ball carrying, excellent quality. A try already. And France now an opportunity to chip away at the Scottish lead. Penalty right in front of the post for Thomas Ramos. And more encouragement for Fabien Galtier and his staff after a difficult opening 10 minutes.
Scotland 7, France 0, 10 minutes on the clock, but a chance for France to get 3 points on the board through Ramos. Scotland offside inside of their own 22 as Ramos, well, he's got 281 points in his 32 caps. It's his 33rd to date, looking to add to that total. Possibly one of the most secure boots you'll find in international rugby right now, and he does put France on the board. So it is now Scotland 7, France 3. Sensible decision from France. When I think about penalty kicks at the moment, sometimes people think, oh no, kick to the corner, it's far more exciting, but this is test rugby, and sometimes just kick your points.
And build their confidence as well, build their way into the game. Obviously last weekend was really difficult for them in Marseille. Take the points, build your way into the game and build confidence.
Goes really deep then from the restart from Scotland. It's gathered in the end by Olivon, who was quite close out towards the far side wing, still inside of the French 22, and they've managed to set up a ruck with about 3 or 4 bodies with their red socks round their ankles. The voice you can hear, of course, is of Nick Berry, our Australian referee, just making sure that Scotland get back on side. The box kick comes in by Luku. The Bordeaux scrum half sends it over towards the halfway line, and we'll restart with the Scotland line out on the far side of the field. Just on that, what's the reaction been in France to Luku's performance last week?
I'd say an overreaction, because he was given no ball. You had a pack that was down to 7. They lost all their lineouts, so of course he had an average game. But you could have had Antoine Dupont, him. You could have brought back Fabien Galtier to play 9. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Oh, we'd all like to see that though, blimey. Right, okay, far side of the field goes the ball from Scotland. That's a really nice run from them. Ends up being Scott Cummings who takes it on. Now we've got Ben White out there as well. Also Matt Fageson is making his presence out on the far side of the field, but this is good from Scotland. Attacking now inside of the French half. They lead 7-3 here at Murrayfield, and they're going forward between the 10 and the 22. Still Scottish ball, gone through a few phases. Once again, White, not the cleanest of passes. He was 100% last week, so he might be a little bit annoyed with that last one. Went slightly away, and Scotland have lost the ball. Turnover here by France. They push it towards Beattie, who hacks it on this near side. He sends it straight down the throat of Harry Patterson, who's running it now through the guts of the park. He gets a strong reception from the French players, but a welcome one from the Murrayfield crowd. The debutant getting himself involved. He was heavily involved in the try for Ben White as the ball just bobbles out towards the far side of the field. That's a mistake there by the Scottish players, who I think saw a ghost out there waiting to catch the ball on the far side. There was no one there.
Well, George Turner's actually half decent pass by Hugh Jones. He's looking to play to space. I think George Turner thinks it's a skip pass. Oh no, it's a terrible quality pass actually. It's about a metre in front of Turner. He's got absolutely no chance, and the ball goes over the whitewash. Hugh Jones must have seen a blue ghost out there.
Yeah.
Imagined his winger out there, but unfortunately
not to be on that occasion. Right then, so a little gift-wrapped line out for France. As we just see a few handling errors, up to 3 now for Scotland compared to just 1 from France, and they win their own line out inside of the Scottish half, but only by a few metres. Donty gives us a nice little dummy run as the French players go through the middle through Figu. Figu out on his own, he's got Beattie outside him. Can he get the pass away? Beattie would have been over. He has to get back to his feet. Ramos is there, but stolen now by Scotland. Here comes Duhan van der Merwe on the counter. He's managed to hack the ball down the field. That was a nailed-on try for France. If Figu had just looked up and given the ball.
And the French players absolutely outraged. They believe Duhan van der Merwe, and again the French supporters now whistling. Huge line break from first phase. Gaël Fickou slices straight through the Scottish defensive line all the way up to the 5 metre. They look to go down the short side, and the question is, does Duhan van der Merwe ever get back on side? The French players all now still, he's clearly not on side. Looking back at that replay, Nick Berry is going to be, I think he's going to get some information from the TMO.
Let's just turn it up 1 second.
He's on the shoulder, he's not on the neck. Let's play.
Okay, you can hear the whistles that are going up from the French crowd. They're absolutely fuming.
I think that's quite unbelievable. He's clearly never on side. That should be a penalty try to the French, but we're playing on.
Frustrations everywhere. The ball comes in there by Movaka, and it's disrupted by Scotland. They get a hand in it, and it's now Scotland who come on the attack. The French arguably had plenty of cause for complaint that Nick Berry was not interested, and all of a sudden everything calms down, but that will not be forgotten. Scotland 7, France 3, 15 minutes on the clock here at Murrayfield. Still a complement of 15 and 15 on the field, which I have to say in this fixture is a rarity at times. There's a ball waiting now for White to clear it with the box field down the kick. They've got decent change out of the box kicks from White so far, but that's a really nicely taken high ball by Ramos. And it's a penalty for France as well, and a warning there, hands on the ground there by Scotland, and France will get a moment just to perhaps calm themselves down a bit to clear this.
Oh, yeah, Scotland really lucky again to have gotten away with that. Should have been a penalty try. Jack Dempsey there, kick chase is good. They've pressed France into the right area of the field. He's gone off his feet, used his hands on the deck. Allows France another quick, easy opportunity to get out of their third, giving away the penalty. George Turner also looks like he's in a bit of a bother. Dr. James Robson's got an arm around him.
Right, the ball has not found touch here, so I'll tell you what's going on with the Scotland team in just a second, but Ramos has it back. They didn't find touch there from that penalty, so Ramos has to send it off the field, but it's going to end up being a Scotland line-out, which is hugely frustrating for them. Now we're hearing that this is a change. George Turner making his way off, and Ewan Ashman. So we're not even told that that is for an HIA or anything else, so it does appear that that is a full change. And all eyes at the moment on the camera are going towards the gum shield of George Turner. We know they're wearing these smart mouth guards now at the moment, so they may have had a mouth guard alert. that something has happened. He is now going down the tunnel, so there is a chance he's about to have an HI and could come back, but it did sound there from the stadium announcement that might be permanent. We'll keep a close eye. High ball then from Scotland after the line-up. Ramos can't take it, and it comes out of play on this near side. Ramos has touched the ball, so he's given Scotland the line-out inside of the French half between the 10 and the 22.
And this is how France conceded 3 tries against South Africa at the World Cup. Tested in the backfield, high balls, put them under pressure. Miserable cold day here at Murrayfield. Scotland already getting real joy out of this strategy. Tomo Ramos couldn't gather that ball, knocks it over the line. Scottish line out.
Scotland 7, France 3. Scotland take the ball forward. They have had to make a change there. Ewan Ashman onto the field now after George Turner has had to go off. White with the distribution, manages to find Schoeman. He goes down to ground inside of the French 22. Still Scottish ball, far side of the field. Advantage now to Scotland. Penalty advantage just outside of that French 22. So a free hit here, but Nick Berry there not playing too much of an advantage there. He only let one phase go by. Fiku not releasing the tackled player. And a nice penalty. It's about 10 metres out from the far side touch. And depending on how confident Scotland feel here, they are going for the corner.
It's a big call. We talked about France building confidence, working their way into this game, chipping away at the 3. It's not in the easiest situation. It's right in the corner, so maybe not the easiest kick. But Scotland back in their line out, going to the corner, taking the game to this French pack.
Sometimes you can just tell from players' body language, because Finn Russell was walking up to that penalty decision. There was no way he was looking to kick for goal at all. He was just looking at the corner the whole time, so you could kind of feel it was coming. First throw in the line-out then for Ewan Ashman today, the Edinburgh hooker. Full complement of forwards in there. We're expecting a big maul. Comes in and down cleanly. And there's plenty of bodies there. Big support from Ferguson and Dempsey. 2 metres left to go. That one has gone down to ground, but Nick Berry, is he going to blow his whistle? Yeah, he's saying that it's there. He wants play on. He's not given advantage to anyone. No idea then how that one went down. Schoeman once again then with the support. Picked up the ball once again. More forwards working forwards. Scotland ball 3 metres out from the French line. Gilchrist now getting involved. Cummins coming in to offer some support. Gets rid of a few white shirts. Ferguson also there. Spun out back. It's loose ball. White wants to have another little bit of a go himself. He's already got 1 try. Scotland have gambled. We've got another penalty here coming Scotland's way a few metres out from that French line. They may as well have a go here. Still penalty advantage. There's also a French player lying on the wrong side. Now they switch back inside. Russell wants to go himself. He doesn't manage to get away. It's loose on the floor. Now the whistle blows, and they've got a penalty right in front of the posts. Now Scotland think they could have taken that quickly. White thinks he's got a second try, but I think, to be fair to Nick Berry, he was calling it back to go through the mark.
Not from the mark, but very encouraging for Scotland again. The challenge with the initial maul, then the pick and go, keeping the ball tight. Taking the game against this French back, not getting real joy on that gain line, but just enough, forcing Cameron Walkie to come offside. Under pressure, and Scotland get another chance to nick 3 points right in front of the sticks. But yeah, great heart shown by Scotland. A little bit of a lack of control. The ball squirts out the back, and Ben White thinks he's gone over. Pulled back by former scrum half Nick Berry. What are the chances? Former Racing player as well. Not there, sunshine.
Well, Finn Russell has decided on this occasion that, yeah, okay, we'll kick this one. The last one was a bit tricky. It was right out on the far side. I was feeling confident, well, as I think anyone's feeling confident when you've got an opportunity like this right in front of the posts. Why not just go for it? Finn Russell, who famously, of course, has iron brew and sweets for breakfast. I was told by John Buckley yesterday he just does slot that penalty to make it 10-3 to Scotland. Apparently the iron brew and sweets sometimes is accompanied also by French fries. Did you know this?
Well, it used to be Five Guys.
Oh really?
It used to be Five Guys burger before a game. Put him in a good mood, comfort. You speak to Nolan Lagarec, who's on the bench, played with him at Racing. It was bonbons and iPhone before a game, and then switch on 5 minutes before. But hey, when you're good enough and you can carry it out, off you go.
Do what feels good is the answer to that one, and so far the other fizzy drinks are available, but the iron brew is currently working for Finn Russell. Right then, Scotland 10, France 3, 22 minutes on the clock here. Just a reminder, there is plenty going on across the whole of BBC Radio 5 Live today. Right now you can head over shortly for a 3 o'clock kickoff on 5 Live for Liverpool against Burnley, and then of course it'll be England against Wales coming up later on 5 Live. It'll start here on Sports Extra, all the build up after we finished here at Murrayfield. It's a 4:45 kickoff, and then a little bit later on 5 Live you'll be able to hear the second half of Nottingham Forest against Newcastle. Again, that one will start here on Sports Extra. There's a lot of jumping around, but you know, you're great listeners. I know you're going to stick with us. It's either round ball or oval ball. You just got to go and find it. It's just one press of a button somewhere on your phone or your car radio. Right then, Scotland 10, France 3. The ball has gone down to ground. We're going to be... Is this our first scrum? Our first scrum in 22 minutes, Johnny Beattie.
And this will be a big one. This will be a challenge that France think they can come here and maybe dominate. Cyril Baye, Winnie Antonio, big men. Last week against Ireland they were down to 14, underpowered. It's now a big old challenge for Schoeman and Fagerson. How will they fare?
Crouch!
Lovely platform as well here for the French, because this scrum is just outside of the Scottish 22, pretty much slap bang in the middle of the field. They've lined up 4 backs on the left, 2 on the right. I've got a feeling there's something about... They're going to swing round. It's a lovely French scrum. It's so nice. There's no penalty coming though. They've come back to Jalibert. Jalibert back inside. Olivon was quickly off the flank there to truck it forward. Still coming and tacking down this left. Beattie, he takes a couple of steps inside. He's too close to the near side touch. Holds on to French ball. This time we get to see Baye taking it on. France holding on, working through the phases. About 3 now since the scrum, but they're still pretty much in the same place. They put a bit of weight behind it in the form of Winnie Antonio, just 145 kgs of French muscle flying forwards out towards the far side wing. They're now penetrating inside of the Scottish 22. Luku loses the ball, has to go back and gather it. The man charged with taking on now is Gabrielard. He's taking it back towards the 22-metre line. It's Scotland 10, France 3 here at Murrayfield, as Jalibert is quickly caught and dragged down to the Murrayfield grass. 5 phases, and this is now loose from France. Any sort of cohesion and the glorious rugby that we saw from them in the last couple of years is still yet to materialise in this Six Nations. We see glimpses of it, but it never quite seems to last. Forward now through the captain. Aldreet goes down to the turf. Penaud with his socks around his ankles, running around his own players, just trying to find a gap. There isn't one.
I got a knock on there.
And it's a knock-on from France as they go into contact. We'll restart there with a Scottish scrum, which Scotland will be interesting to see what this is in there. Let's just listen to the referee.
On the ground there, they tried to pop the ball back up. If you're not offside, he's let go of the ball and he's then put it on the ground. You'll see here.
Time off.
The ball, and then he puts it on the ground again.
Okay, so they're saying that France have played the ball off the ground, which I think Finn Russell is right with, but it happened a little while ago, so I think they just want to get on with things.
They want to get on with it, but Scotland, they'll be delighted. Again, the defensive sets. France, normally they'd expect to come around that corner and bulldoze Scotland, dominate these collisions and roll them over, but Scotland standing tall. Steve Tandy will be absolutely delighted. 2-man tackles that are low, chop, getting them on the deck, competing, slowing ball down. And yeah, it is looking good. The only real worry was the creak at scrum time. I think if that had been left into play by Nick Berry, there might have been a penalty advantage to France. That'll be interesting to see how that develops, but the Scottish defensive sets, they were delighted with that effort, because big men, hard to bring down. They absolutely stood up to the challenge.
Scotland 10, France 3, 25 minutes on the clock. Now the last scrum, it did look like France were in charge. Nick Berry didn't look like he was going to blow his whistle though, so they played the ball. So again, this time it's a Scottish scrum. It's pretty much in the same place as we had the last one, and we've been down now inside of the Scottish 22 for a while, and this is where, I could be wrong, French coaches begin to get a bit nervous. You're at the right end of the field, you should be getting points.
Crouch!
You put a sweetie in your mouth again. Whenever I ask you a question, you just keep... I'm going to have a word with our producer Victoria. She's giving you too many sweets. Right then, they are scrumming down. The ball is working its way towards the back. That's held really well by Scotland. That's not going anywhere. Ball back now to Russell, near side. Clears it down. Is it going to find touch? Yes, Ramos is there waiting. Beattie did track back to get ready for a quick line out. Not on this occasion. France are going to construct something from the halfway line.
Yeah, the kicking game has been excellent. Ben White, again, going to the air, creating contests and mayhem. And Finn Russell, again, you talk about exits and the quality you want from your halfbacks, taking up to the halfway line. first class. The kicking game so far, as it was in the first half last weekend and in Cardiff, has been exceptional.
Scotland 10, France 3. French line out, halfway line. Ball comes in, not taken cleanly by Woki. Oh, really great work, hard work done there by Scott Cummins. He watched the ball come down, absolutely threw his whole body on top of it to grab it. Goes back to Russell, who's just done a beautiful, that's a 50-22. No, they didn't. They took the ball back over the halfway themselves. I got too excited. But it will still be a French line out inside of the 22. Lovely kick from Russell.
Lovely kick from Finn Russell. It's all Scotland at the minute. Again, the contest at the line-out, disrupting French ball. They just can't get anything going so far in this first period. And Finn, again, the smarts. Nobody in backfield. Turn them, make them play out from deep. Now France in their 22. Ball right area of the field. Scotland under no pressure.
Finn Russell there. That was a really... It looks like a really ugly kick when he kicks it, but he just knows exactly where it's going to go. I can confirm now that George Turner is back out from under the tunnel, so I think he's failed the HIA, and that means Ewan Ashman is staying on the field for Scotland. And Mo Vaca somehow has managed to get the ball back here for France under huge pressure from Scotland. So France, having had all of that time down inside of the French 22, they find themselves in their own 22. They're 10 metres away from their own try line, and they need to get rid of it sharpish. So Luku puts the high ball into the air. It's going to come down this near side, and it has gone out of play, so he's found touch there, but it's a Scotland line out inside of the French half between the 10 and the 22.
The French line out creaking again. Peto Mo Vaca with a huge underthrow. Nearly pinched again by Scotland. The lack of quality in this area means they can't progress into the game. They can't generate any sort of go forward. And the quality of exit again, the kick quality. Maxime Luku only up to about the 25. Finn Russell previously up to the 50. So the kick quality for Scotland also very good.
And as soon as I say that George Turner looks like he's gone off, he's just come back on again. So he came back out in a full tracksuit. He's quickly stripped it off. And Ewan Ashman is off the field, but we've got a breakaway here for France, but no offside here by the French. And Scotland are going to have a penalty in the middle of the field. Is there a bit of chat back there as well that's given them another 10 metres?
That's schoolboy by France. They've come up off their defensive line before the line out is finished, before it's gone to the scrum half or gone over the 15-metre line. They've just come up too quickly. They've offered Scotland another 3 points right in front of the posts. France struggling, lack of discipline, line out in tatters.
Okay, Nick Berry there was just checking.
Okay, guys, they're having a shot.
Okay, they're having a shot at goal. We did just see there Gregory Aldrich come in to have a chat with Nick Berry. And apparently they are checking something, not quite sure what that was. Actually, Nick Berry's been a little bit generous to Scotland there, because technically where the line of offside was there at that line out, he has given Scotland a couple of extra metres. But hey.
Well, the one man who'll be livid is Sean Edwards.
Yes.
Because that is elementary defensive setup 101, and normally you want to make attack work extremely hard to generate points, and here they've gifted 3.
Russell then, he's 2 from 2 with the boot, and as I say that, he makes it 3 from 3, and it's a 10-point game now in Scotland's advantage. It's Scotland 13, France 3, the try from Ben White, a couple of penalties there by Finn Russell. The only response we've had from France so far is one Thomas Ramos penalty. They spent plenty of time down in the Scottish 22 for about 5 to 10 minutes. They came away with that passage of play with nothing. And as they go for the restart, the ball is now just outside of that Scottish 22. You're listening to Six Nations Rugby here on 5 Sports Extra. Scotland against France. France get a little bit of turnover ball at the breakdown there. And they've managed to go on a little attack now inside of the Scottish 22. Uini Antonio sort of rolls his way into a tackle and then sort of like props up his arm to get back up on to the field again and ready to go again, the big fridge of a man that he is. Now we've got a player out injured on this near side as well. It's Fagerson, who's hurt himself there in contact. Still French attack, so if they can keep this going, they're going against 14, and they're getting a little bit of help to Fagerson as well as France continue to go forward. French ball, Ramos has it, pushes towards this near side. 3 metres left to go for the French, taken on this time by Aldrich. 1 metre left to go, still French ball. If they can get a try now, this will be a huge fillip for them. Mo Vaca on the ball, 1 metre left to go. France want their first try of this fixture. They've got space out wide. Fiku is there, he can surely get down. What a finish by Fiku under pressure. France have their first try at Murrayfield of the 2024 Six Nations, and that makes it a lot closer at Scotland 13, France 8. but some concerns at the moment of what's going on with Matt Fagerson, who they're trying to get off the field from HIA but doesn't want to go.
He came really badly off in a collision with Weenie Antonio. You could see clutching his shoulder. Andy Christie looking to get on the field. Matt Fagerson's going to stay on. It was just a stinger. The worry was that it had been a dislocation, but Scotland down to 14 during that phase of play. France, their first real attack, strung together. They managed to outflank Scotland. A lovely sleight of hand by Cyril Bay finds Mathieu Jalibert in the pod behind, a long pass to Gaël Fickou. He's able to get over in the corner, and France from nothing. Scotland unable to sort out the restart receive. France, decent bit of territory, they convert, and they're back in this game.
Okay, so we're waiting for the conversion from Ramos. It's about a metre out from the far side of the field, and Andy Christie had actually stripped off there to come on for Scotland. So everything that was going on there appeared to be quite dramatic very quickly, but now Fagerson appears to be staying on. So Ramos with the conversion, high into the air, and the flags fly. That was quite a tricky one there for Ramos, and that makes this tight as anything all of a sudden. Scotland 13, France 10, a try apiece, a try through Ben White for Scotland, a try now for Gaël Fickou. The difference between the side, one penalty by Finn Russell.
And that is the difficulty with this French side. You cannot write them off for a second. Able to convert, if given the chance, Scotland will be kicking themselves that they couldn't receive that restart properly and clear their lines. And a 3-point game. The French fans starting to get back into it, making their voice heard.
Backwards off
the DJ occasion here at Murrayfield does like to silence them, is what we have learnt so far this afternoon. Ball back then for Scotland on the halfway line from the restart. 3-point game here at Murrayfield in the Six Nations. Scotland 13, France 10. Ball comes back this time for White, who's very busy with his box kicks, and a big chase by Duhan van der Merwe, who hasn't actually had too much of a say in this game so far. He was involved in the run down the right for the Ben White try. Lots of backs looking for heavy work there, but a quiet game so far by his own standards, as the ball just goes forward there.
Okay.
And they're going to come back and reset for a scrum. Far side of the field. The original knock-on was from France, so it's a Scotland scrum. Far side of the field, inside of the French half, between the 10 and the 22.
It's a real choice of strategy for Scotland as well. Normally you would never see Scotland squaring up to a box kick on the halfway line. They'd look to play quick, attacking, attractive brand of rugby, but they've clearly identified they think they can get real joy out of this French backfield. This time Mathieu Jalibert going up for the contest, knocking on. Scotland get another little win. They get a scrum just outside the French 22, and that is, people don't like that strategy. They don't like to see kicking rugby, but it's the easiest way to gain 35 metres. A box kick, a good chase, a contest, generate some sort of chaos. You get a turnover, you get some turnover ball or a knock on, and it's working so far for Scotland.
Yeah, kicking actually went pretty well for Scotland last week. Finn Russell, he was 100% with the boot at goal, but actually in open play, 683 metres kicked last week. That was the most of any player in the Six Nations, just showing how pivotal he is as both sides start to pack down. Just on that, I listened to a variety of podcasts this week. You were appearing everywhere. Well done. How many podcasts did you record this week? I think I heard them all.
Even the French ones?
Even the French. Well, not
impressive.
not in French. But you do one that is a French rugby podcast in English. I definitely heard that one. How many have you done this week?
Yeah, a few.
A few. You're not going to give me another. Okay, fair enough. But something was a discussion around Scotland was the fact that Ben Healy, with Finn Russell being as pivotal as he is and also co-captain, how much time he's actually going to get off the bench at any point. As Russell, the very man himself, manages to get a pass away as he falls over his feet. Well done, Finn Russell, for holding on to that ball. Gives it to Patterson, who almost has to take this hospital pass straight into French white shirts. Of course, if you missed the start of this, Patterson has had to come in very late notice that he's playing fullback on his Scotland debut. Wasn't even in the original 23 as Finn Russell pushes the ball through. That all, of course, made by Carl Stein's wife being in labour as France absolutely mess up a clearance kick there. It's gone straight out of play on the far side. And once again, it's not the first time France have done this. They have gifted Scotland a line out this time inside of the Scotland half between the 10 and the 22.
Just a little bit frantic again. Tomo Ramos with a lot more time than he actually thought. He's kind of rushed that clearance kick, sclaffed it off the side of his right foot, and it's given Scotland another chance to launch just outside the French 22.
Okay, Blue, let's go, please.
It's pretty much been 50-50 between the two sides in possession. 51% Scotland, 49% France. territory. We've suddenly been looking right down the field a lot more than we have left, which just shows that Scotland have had a little bit more as Tuipulotu goes on a strong run. Glasgow man manages to see the ball come away now over towards the 22-metre line. Scotland attacking once again inside of the French final quarter of the field, and that's a really nice run there by Scotland, collected now by White. They're building up ahead of steam and they're getting over the gain line. 6 or 7 metres left to go, this time taken forward by Gilchrist. Over the top of that could be good from the French. They took that cleanly. Really nice counter there by the French. Somehow Scotland have it back. Darge round the corner. Nick Berry was happy to let all of that just play. 6 phases now. Spinning run this time by Gilchrist. A metre short in his red scrum cap. Duhan van der Merwe getting involved in a little bit of forwards work. He's pushed backwards for his money.
There's a knock on there.
Big blow of the whistle. They're playing penalty advantage there to Scotland. France offside. Penalty 5 metres out from the French line.
10 wide offside.
Very encouraging for Scotland. Again, the question has always been, can we take the French on physically? Turner and Dempsey coming round the corner. Some absolutely colossal carries. Breaking tackles, getting Scotland over the gain line.
What's the call here? Tapping.
Okay,
make sure
they're going to tap and go. Big decision here from Scotland. So a couple of penalty decisions when they could have gone for points. Tap and go here from Scotland. Turner goes himself, uses the shoulder to work hard. A few more of his forward friends arrive. This time they put it into the hands of Dempsey. 4 metres left to travel. Tuipulotu was screaming for it. They switch back direction, back inside to Tuipulotu. Still 2 metres to go. Ben White wants quick ball. Manages to find a forward in Darge. Darge goes down. Now French players right over the top of that, off their feet. Nick Berry not interested on that occasion. There's the advantage. Winnie Antonio, they're saying wasn't onside, comes back this time. Finn Russell needs to find more forwards. Beattie was there. And they'll come back now.
Sorry, say again.
Now that's 2 penalties in quick succession. I'm expecting a warning.
Who was the second one? And who was the no arms tackle? Okay, so he's going to go to the bin. Listen, Greg, we had the offside, then we had 2 more offsides, and a tackle not using an arm. There's no attempt to replicate, it's a shoulder charge. So it's going to be a yellow card. Okay. A tackle without the ball, sorry.
Which one?
White 3 it was. Yeah, White 3.
Winnie Antonio is going to the sin bin. I have to say, as soon as we said it and he said offside, it looked like Winnie Antonio was just flopping around the corner.
No arm tackle, okay, that's what I'm getting from the TMO, but it was multiple penalties down here.
What's your call on the contest?
I don't think it was necessarily the instant we saw there, but this is a big moment, and a big man is leaving the field for France, who have now got to play with 14.
And again, it's a situation, as we see the replay, and again, that's almost to the back of the head of Matt Fagerson. You could almost be lucky that's just yellow. Shoulders tucked. It's not going to be upgraded because they've just given it a yellow, but it's definitely worth looking at again. And France down to 14, second match in a row, even harder for them now, and it's gone to the bunker. Nick Berry has referred it to the bunker.
Well, there you go. We know it's gone to the bunker because they do what I call the X Factor signal, and that's how you know that they're going to go and check it. And they've got 8 minutes now to have a little bit of a look, and a big decision here from Scotland as they decide, tell you what, why don't we have a scrum for this penalty? Forces France to take a player off the field, forces them to bring on Dorian Alidgeri, and I'm just trying to see who's been sacrificed. It's Beattie who's going to have to come off in his place. So there's a space in the backfield if Scotland can go hunting for it. They've just got to figure out where. Okay, so scrum, pretty much centre field, 5 metres out from the French line. And the French are now playing for the next 10 minutes with 14 on the field, 37 minutes on the clock. It's Scotland 13, France 10.
You can actually see the French backline screaming at the touchline, asking how they want Fabien Galtier and Sean Edwards, how they want them to defend, what type of split, are they going to rush, are they going to pedal? Difficult scenario for France. 1 man down in the backline, underpowered. A big opportunity for Scotland. It would have been very easy to take the 3.
is a big moment as well, because Scotland, the way they've lined up the backs is they've managed to get Russell, Patterson and Van der Merwe in a line directly behind the scrum, and France essentially are having to guess which direction they're going to sweep in. They're either going to flood every single player down this right channel, or they're going to go round to the left. Which way would you do?
Fortunately for me, I'd be in the back row, so I would just sort of try my hardest to push in the scrum, lift my head up and then follow everyone like a bit of a sheep. It's easy for me, but I don't envy the French backline right now. As you mentioned, Scotland stacked with 3, Van der Merwe as well, a very difficult man to stop with a run up behind the scrum, and then 3 to the right on this near side. France have to split their options. They're 3-2 in defence, but they have to stay honest.
Big scrum here from France. Ball is in. It's holding so far from Scotland. Oh, it's gone down to ground.
Get up, 9!
The warning there against Luku. He's not resetting the scrum. They want to play it. They're playing advantage as well. Here it comes for Scotland. Van der Merwe, he runs into heavy traffic. That's well defended by France, you have to say. Scotland almost overrun themselves, but they've got the penalty, Scotland.
France are imploding. I mean, this is embarrassing. The scrum hasn't been completed. Jonathan Danty is already up past the level of the scrum. It's the same penalty they gave away at line-out 10 minutes ago, but they're complete lack of respect for the referee at the offside line, and they're just going to keep coughing away penalties.
Okay, so this is also a big moment here for Scotland. As much as we're talking about France not doing very well here, the problem here, they're just talking, I think, to Luku ahead of this scrum. But this is also a big moment for Scotland, because there's only 3-point difference here on the board. It's Scotland 13, France 10. This is a very easy 3 points in front of the goal. They know they've got at least 8 minutes on a sin bin. It might be upgraded to a red card. We don't know yet, with Winnie Antonio waiting on that outcome. 3 points could be important in this test match.
Absolutely. When you're looking at me, I would have gone for 3, but that hasn't been a choice. They've gone adventurous. But still, you have to complete this scrum. France are a very difficult scrummaging side. There could be a slip, there could be anything. So they have to execute this scrum, get the ball away, and then fire this shot they want to score. It looked like they want to get the ball in Van der Merwe's hands. Can they do it?
Okay, the scrum is holding once again. It's in exactly the same position the last one was. It's gone down to ground. It's a French penalty. So all of that opportunity, all of that chance for Scotland to come away with something. Winnie Antonio's on his feet down in the technical area saying, come on boys, or whatever that is in French.
And the French technical area is right next to us. And Fabien Galtier just gave it one of the biggest, not even how you do it, but the biggest exhales and sighs of relief I have ever seen.
So we've got a decision on the bunker, okay? It's going to remain a yellow card, okay? It's a low degree of danger, okay?
Okay, low degree of danger. Winnie Antonio can return to the field of play in 7 minutes' time. So that will happen in the second half, of course, because we are now on 40 minutes. That is the half-time whistle. It's Scotland 13, France 10. All kinds of chaos there in those last few minutes. Scotland could have put at least another 3 points on the board. Wasn't to be on that occasion. And this is a tight test match, Johnny Beattie. No one yet is in total control.
No, but we spoke about it at the start. Difficult conditions, both sides trying their best, working their way to try and find that field position. The kicking game has been crucial, and the game's going to come down to whoever can hold the ball in opposition third will come away winning this game. If they can hold the ball, generate some sort of go forward, nick a few penalties, it's been very, very tight. And will Scotland pay the price for not converting that 3 points just before half time? Let's hope not for our Scottish listeners, but again, incredible second half of rugby coming up.
Before I let you go, who in this French squad, away from the coaching staff because they will do their thing, who in this French squad needs to step up and take control of things? There are so many players here who have played top level rugby, who have won a Six Nations Grand Slam, who are just not bringing this team together at the moment.
Well, they're playing in fits and starts. The one crucial area that's been poor again is the line-out. So Cameron, Walkie, Charles, Olivon, Skipper, wrap this up. You have to give your side some ball from source, otherwise they will not compete. The back row, the scrum, they've all played their part, but ultimately the backs aren't going to get any ball of quality unless that upfront play is sorted. So scrummaging, we've just seen crucial penalty one. They'll be delighted, they'll go in confident at half time. Line out, they have to figure out how to fix, quickly problem solve, and come out better in the second period if they're going to compete, and just work hard, because there's been a lot of kick, a lot of chase. It's going to be luck of who earns the right to have that ball in opposition end, and whoever does that is going to win the game. So
We are going to head to Twickenham shortly, but before I let you have your break and you eat any more sweeties, Johnny Beattie, because I know exactly what you're going to do. Your hand's already in the packet. Just quickly, Ben White's try was a thing of beauty from Scotland, and all credit to the Pats, particularly to Harry Patterson, who is on debut. He's not put a foot wrong.
He hasn't. He's been sure under the high ball, and again that came from what we just talked about. High balls, generating that chaos ball in the opposition half. That came from an up and under, a 50-50, a turnover ball. Very well finished. Scotland having one of the rare phases where they played off a second receiver to a Pelotu, allowed Harry Patterson to come onto ball, a lovely deft offload, created that continuity, kept the ball live, and Ben White got to finish. So lovely intervention from him, and a first half well accomplished for the youngster.
And we don't want to take anything away from the French try that was scored by Fiku in the corner, but at the time Scotland were actually defending with 14 on the field because Matt Fagerson was receiving treatment. Good for their try, but still we haven't seen a potent French attack.
We haven't, because they haven't had enough ball and they have played in the wrong areas, and the set piece has been poor, let's just say. But that's what we want to see. When they have the ball, they are frightening, and that was it. Their one real opportunity to convert, they managed to take it, and it was while Scotland were down to 14, but still they can be a very efficient machine. So watch out Scotland in the second half.
Right, I'm going to give you your sweetie licence now. Go crazy, Johnny Beattie. Had 10 minutes off. Say thank you very much. Half time here at Murrayfield. It is Scotland 13, France 10. It is just a 3-point game. Second half commentary to come from here, and after this, of course, we'll have commentary of England against Wales. Let's go and find out what is going on at Twickenham. Here's Chris Jones.
Thanks, Sara. Thanks, Johnny. Great stuff in the first half. 13-10, as Sara says, but as Johnny pointed out, will Scotland rue that pressure at the end, which didn't yield any points? They will have a period at the start of the second half for Scots. A man advantage, Antonio in the sin bin. How significant could that be? But welcome to Twickenham. I was going to say it's dry, but just a hint of drizzle in the southwest London air. The pitch looking pristine, and we are an hour and 40, just under, until kick-off. England against Wales, and Paul Grayson is with us, former England fly half, World Cup winner, 400 points for his countryman, who has much experience of playing in this great fixture. Grace, you've done this a while without giving away your age, but does it get the butterflies, just swimming around the stomach when you come to Twickenham for an England-Wales game?
Yeah, absolutely it does. It is truly a lifetime ago since I did it in person, but the memories don't fade, and once you get into the stadium, you can just start to feel it in your body again, the butterflies, because it's one of those, isn't it? We modern day, what happens when England playing Wales, the WhatsApp groups go absolutely berserk. It is a massive fixture for England fans and players alike. It has something extra, and I've been lucky enough to play here against Wales and put them to the sword. A highlight day in my career, because it's a significant fixture for us.
It's Christmas Day on the ex-players corporate merry-go-round, but as a rugby match, so much intrigue. And look, this is not two teams who are in incredible form. England did so well at the World Cup, but their Six Nations performances in recent seasons patchy. Wales have only won one of their last 9 in the Championship. But a very intriguing one, this, isn't it? Before we even talk about the passion of the fixture and all that rivalry.
Yeah, it is, and I think you did the opening night in Marseille, I was out in Rome watching England get past Italy with a little bit to spare. The 3-point scoreline, when England could have closed the game out by kicking a goal and won by 10 points, was probably a fair reflection of the contest in itself. It was only in kind of debriefing that game and working out what went on, because a lot of the people in media, TV and radio, couldn't quite put their finger on what had happened and what, the game sort of stalled.
It would have been easier to analyse if England had scored 1 by 17. It's very different. Even though the whole game would have been much the same.
I think you're absolutely right. It was slightly confused lot coming home from there. Having gone over it again in my head and watched it again, I think we have to accept that England are where they are as a team. They're not a number 1 team in the world. They're not top 4 team in the world. And their performance, with some changes and 5 debutants out of the 23, reflected exactly that. So we come back here, Wales again. It's a restart for Wales. Warren Gatland, the project that he probably didn't imagine was going to be quite as big as it is. But they're at the beginning of it. England trying to use the World Cup as a launch pad. Borthwick owns this team. And I think the uncertainty is because we genuinely don't quite know where England are. I think we pretty much know where Wales are. We don't know whether England last week were like, okay, that's a 6 out of 10. We've got some stuff to work on. If we get it right this week, we could be comfortable at home and take another step in our journey. But the uncertainty certainly adds to the flavour.
Well, some of the England players are just walking out of the Twickenham tunnel. They arrived through the crowds a couple of minutes ago. We'll talk more about that, the Twickenham factor, and what England and new captain Jamie George, what they want from the home of English rugby this afternoon. But let's get a little bit more on why this fixture means so much. Sam Warburton was one of our guests on the Rugby Union Daily, a special episode early this week that went out Tuesday morning, all about this great rivalry. And Warburton said, for Welsh players and the Welsh people, this one is still the highlight of the championship.
From an actual occasion and historical and just general rivalry, obviously England is the number one, because it's just a completely different vibe around Wales when you're playing England, particularly at home, because you feel it. When it's in Twickenham, we're obviously not there till the Thursday evening. But when you're playing at home against England, my goodness, it's like nothing else. I do feel like as a Welshman, like if you haven't gone through a test week when you're playing a home game against England, I just think like
you've missed something from your career.
Yeah, there's a big sort of black mark on your sort of Welsh playing CV. You need to experience that, because anyone who's experienced it is just like, oh my God. And we'll delve into why, but it is the number one. Some Welsh people won't like me saying this, but it's because it's little brother versus big brother. Like, England is the superior country when it comes to economy, decision-making, government, population, like you name it, right? They just got more resources across the board. So it's just a chance where, like you say, the level playing field, where you can just put all that to one side. And this is a small place, UK. There's a lot of English living in Wales, and there's a lot of Welsh living in England. So the rivalry spreads, infiltrates throughout the whole country. So like, I'm so proud of my Welsh roots, but I'm not embarrassed to say that England are they are, in general, in history, have been a superpower of a nation, which is why I think every team loves playing England, because they can just put all that to one side. Now it's your 23 blokes against our 23 blokes. That's what makes it special. So, but as players, you don't really care about that. You don't, but you appreciate the rivalry and the history, and that's what adds all those things into the cauldron, into the mix.
Sam Warburton on the Rugby Union Daily this week, the former Wales captain, outlining why this is still and always will be, you think, the big one for the Welsh. But Paul Grayson, is it the big one for the English as well when Wales come to town?
Yeah, absolutely it is, because of the things that Sam touched on there. We know our place as Englishmen, that we are the least favoured by everybody in this marvellous competition. And ancient history and recent history, Wales have done some damage to England. 2015, not the Six Nations, but in the World Cup here, famous Welsh win. Wales have been miles more successful in the Six Nations than England have in recent times, and they let you know when they're on top. They will let you know. So absolutely, it carries the same, from a different perspective, it carries exactly the same emotions that Sam was touching on then.
Always the great and good that come to Twickenham on a day like this. Jamie Roberts patrolling the touchline, former Wales captain Philip Petachet, the former BBC chief sports writer Tom Fordyce is in the house as well, as are the England players, Paul Grayson. A lot of talk in Rome about their defence, trying this new system, the blitz. Is that Wales's best hope, trying to work on the fact or exploit the fact that England are trying new things, both sides of the ball, in attack and defence? Because dare I say, if Wales come here to make it an arm wrestle, there may only be one winner, and they might be in white. Yeah,
the opening 3 or 4 phases of last week's game in the Principality, Wales had some decent ball. They were on the front foot. They were about 40 yards from the Scotland line, and then they deliberately slowed their own ball down and put in a horrific box kick into the opposition 22, removing all the atmosphere from the stadium, any momentum from the game, then carried on in the same vein for the first half. And it was rugby suicide, because what needs high precision to be done well to sustain you in a game, if you're just playing kick and chase, they didn't do any of that well and got ripped to shreds. It was like a counter-attack drill for Finn Russell, that marvellous Van der Merwe try. If they come here and try and do that, they'll get more of the same, because they ain't good enough at it.
So how do Wales go about it? You're in that coaching Brains Trust this week, Grace. What are your messages to Wales? What's the strategy?
England are going to come hard off the line. They've made They're absolutely happy to be on the front foot and say, this is what we're going to do. We're coming for you. We're going to force you into mistakes. So you've either got the opportunity to go through that line, around it, or over the top of it. And they need to balance that. So attacking kicks, put the ball in behind, turn that England defensive line speed, put some little doubt into it. If England are narrow and trying to close you off, you go cross-field kick pass, kick the ball flat so it doesn't give the defence time to recover. You physically confront that defensive line with, I mean, if they're pushing hard from the outside, you'd look for inside balls rather than outside balls, but it is a collision sport and you do have to win collisions to get quick ball. And then when you're on the front foot and England are still trying to press, you've got one tied prop, you've got a second row who's in good nick, you've got a back who's wondering who's going to get off the line, and then you get the dogleg effect when some go, some don't, and you're into it, and then you're just playing rugby. So there has to be variety, there has to be a mixture, there has to be confrontation, and you'll have to play well.
And be accurate and take your chances.
And,
always. Yeah.
You know, top of off stump, right?
Yeah.
Do 6 months of research about what to do as an opening swing bowler, bowl at top of off stump. That's always the answer.
If in doubt, go back to basics, take your chances.
Work for Jimmy Anderson. It's
very true.
It's sports model, and it's true, and it's rolled out because they are the facts of how you win games.
Well, let's actually hear from one of England's defensive leaders. The England number 8, Bernal, such a key part of this England side, really announced himself at the World Cup. Here he is on this new England defensive system. He says the freedom they've been given by defensive guru Felix Jones has been important.
Well, I think defensively, I think people have probably seen a shift in us. And again, it's a mindset shift. Like Felix, come in, we've had some meetings with him and he's really like laid it out for us and gone, this is where we're at and this is where we're going to go, or this is where we should go. And he's kind of leave your ego at the door and be prepared to make mistakes, and that's pretty liberating as a player. Like, if you know that you're going to do your job, have that mentality and make mistakes and not get berated for it. Not that we have many coaches that do, but yeah, you always wonder how many mistakes it's going to take before the coach really loses his head and he's not bothered. He's not bothered.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. How did he deliver the feedback of how that defence looked against Italy? Was it quite calm? Was it individualised? Was it as a team? How did it come across?
So it is team-based and individual-based. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Felix being a bit more of a senior player in defence. His laptop is a joke. I mean, the amount of files he has open, the amount of games he's watched, the amount of clips he watched shows us is crazy. And it's probably
just of you, or we're talking about rugby across the world?
Just of other people, other games, other it's times Wales have played, for example, this week. So, yeah, he's going to a depth, to an intensity that I've not seen from many coaches before. And I have to say, it's been great.
The England number 8 Bernal with Ugo and Sara on the pod this week. Fascinating attack v defence. England against Wales. All the build-up coming after the second half at Murrayfield. The teams are back out. Over to you, Johnnie and Sara.
Thanks ever so much, Chris. Yes, don't forget, full commentary of England against Wales is coming up live here on Sports Extra. 4:45 start, but as soon as the football finishes on 5 Live, that is where they will be heading. But we've got a second half here at Murrayfield to deal with. Half-time, Scotland 13, France 10. We're about to get underway. There has been a change for Scotland as France kick us off. They're travelling from left to right in this second half. France unchanged, but they're starting this second half with just 14 men on the field. Winnie Antonio still in the bin for another 7 minutes. The change for Scotland, Matt Fagerson has gone off the field of play. Andy Christie is on the Saracens back row. There's been a lot of appeals from various different sections of the rugby world, whether it be fans or media, to give Andy Christie a run in a Scotland shirt. He's got a good 40 minutes here to try and do something. We do hope, though, that Matt Fagerson is okay. So he did take quite a clattering in that first half. Right then, France with the ball. They managed to gather it back and they're going forward now inside of the Scotland half. They're currently quite a long way back, flirting away on that halfway line for the time being. Big run through there by Woki. Brought in then after he wasn't involved last week as Paul Valenza gets that red card. Ball comes down, come back off White, so referee is playing on French ball. It's down on the ground, but have Scotland managed to steal that? No. It's a real mess on the floor. It has come out on the Scotland side. They did manage to turn that one over inside of their own half. Scotland need to just get rid of it a little bit quicker now. They throw it back to Russell. He sends it down the throat of the park. It's going to land just inside of the French 22. Ramos tracks back to go and gather it, wearing 15 on his back, of course, the Toulouse man. He's been playing a little bit of fly half at Toulouse recently as well. Of course, Romain Ontimac got that injury in the build-up to the World Cup. As the ball comes out of play on this near side, we restart with a Scotland liner inside of their own half on the 10-metre. Hello again, Johnny Beattie. Good sweets.
It was the cookie that was the best bit of the half-time, I'm not going to lie.
What about the rugby?
Well, delighted for Christie. He's on the field. First touch is a turnover, snuffs out a French attack. Again, he's been so good in the Premiership over the past couple of seasons. A real joy to watch. So great to see him in blue. He's just taken a line out too. Great start for him.
And of course, no space in this Scotland squad for former captain Jamie Ritchie. It's been a tough Six Nations for him, but arguably you have to say the head coach Gregor Townsend, he's been pretty straight. He's not sort of tried to dress anything up. He said it exactly as it is. He wants him to go and work on his game, and has no doubt he'll be involved in this Six Nations. As the ball goes long there from Scotland, but goes out of play on the near side. Scotland try and play it quickly, but it's a French line out, not a Scottish one. So confusion of which hand it actually went off on the near side.
Hitting a blue player and going out.
It was very nicely done by Tomo Ramos, actually. Duhan van der Merwe was taking out the trash, throwing him over the whitewash, but he just managed to offload the ball intentionally off a blue jersey. Just enough to make sure that line out is still for France.
Back inside of their own half by 10 metres. Ball coming in there by Toulouse's Mo Vaca. Oh, they've knocked up the line out again. France have got some serious line out issues that have continued from last week into this. Scotland now attacking with the ball between the 10 and the 22 inside of the French half as they go through the middle of the park. This time they give it to the centres, Tui Pilotu.
Back.
He goes down to ground. This time coming through the middle is Gilchrist, wearing his red scrum cap. Not quite over the gain line for the time being. This time it's gathered once again by White. Russell can see some space in the backfield, sends it over the top, chasing it down. Ramos does manage to get a foot to it, a nice foot as well, but it's ended up in the hands of Patterson. The debutant runs forward. He goes down to ground, so he's managed to hold on to that Scottish ball, but you have to say Ramos got France out of a little bit of bother there. Loose ball now at the moment, and I'm quite glad that Nick Berry's going to tidy that up. It went forward from Scotland. He'll restart then with a French scrum.
A little bit loose again by France. Cameron Walkie taking on Grant Gilchrist at line-out time. Gilchrist, the great, again, just disruptive, not allowing France any quality of ball. Scotland winning the ball back, working their way through multi-phase. It's Cummings that's just lifted his head up, looked at the defenders in front of him, knocks on the ball, allows France another opportunity to get a foothold back in this game. A scrum for them, but still down to 14 men. But France, we spoke about it just before half-time, still really struggling with this element of the game that was their Achilles heel last week as well. 7 lost.
Well, they've lost 3 line-outs so far, France. They've won 3, they've lost 2 of the 5 that they've had. I mean, they're actually flashing them up on the big screen as we start talking about them. Scotland won all 11 of those. This is a problem.
It is, but it says lost 2, but the quality they've had from the other 3, it hasn't allowed them to get themselves into the game at all. So either they wake up or it's going to be a very long second half for these Frenchmen.
Thank goodness France have a good scrum, and that is what we have got right now. Scotland 13, France 10, 44 minutes on the clock, 2.5 minutes left on the sim bin for France as well. Willie Antonio still in the bin, so they will be very happy if they can get away with the next few minutes, because if they can see out that sim bin, they've not lost any points in this 10-minute down period where they've been down to 14. Of course, it's spanned across the halfway, that's why it feels slightly disjointed. It is a French ball, and they're just really trying to eat into the clock at the moment, knowing that they've got 14 on the field. Luku calls in another forward so he can get a little bit more traction on that box kick into the sky. Going to come down inside of the Scotland half, taken in the end by Kyle Rowe, the Glasgow man. Oh, he's done well there. A couple of little spins to get a couple of extra metres out of the ball. Russell just hanging out behind the forwards. Big pass out wide. Slightly overrun there by Hugh Jones. He juggles with the ball, but I think it all went backwards, and Hugh Jones still going. He tried to get the ball popped off in his shoulder there to Dempsey, but Dempsey just a metre too far behind. Russell can see space in the backfield again. He's forcing Ramos to turn, but Ramos has read that really well. Calls the mark. Nice, classy stuff there by the Toulouse fullback. Arguably one of the best in the world in the 15 shirt. And he just calms things down.
Really well taken by Tomo Ramos, because that was a hideous spiral bomb by Finn Russell. lobbed that up in the air. Tom Ramos, almost like a cricketer under a ball that had been smacked out to the boundary, staggering and trying to find the best way to take that. Whoop, as Finn Russell, a smile on his face, falls over. It looks like the water carriers have left a pile of bottles at the side of the field. He gets back to his feet to the applause of the fans. They can appreciate him seeing the funny side of the situation.
Finn Russell, he's the kind of player who can take that and wear it reasonably well. He's smiling away as the ball goes out of play on the far side. So we'll restart them with a Scotland line out. It's just inside of their own half by about 5 metres. 20 seconds left on that sin bin for Antonio. Ball comes in. Right, disrupted ball by France. They managed to win a little bit back there as the ball goes forward now through Aldrit. He goes down to the floor. Luku looking up. I've been told to get on with it. Run forward this time by Bai. He goes down to the turf. There's still 10 metres to go until at least the halfway. They need to get rid of this ball, France. They're playing far too much of the ball inside of their own half at the moment. Get rid of it. Here it comes, Luku, big box, it's made absolutely no ground, but I think there might have been a Scottish hand on that as it went up into the air. It's
all play on.
Okay, play on. I'm not sure if there was someone offside there by the 10-metre rule, but I don't think Nick Berry was that sure either, so he's just letting everyone get on with it. Ball been hacked through now by France. This could be a 50-22, but no, Patterson. It was moments away from getting it out. He sends it down the field. He's hugged the ball beautifully to this left wing. Oh, and what a mistake for Jalibert to make. He's knocked on the ball terribly inside of his own 22. He's claiming he battered it down, but that was awful execution. He's trying to style it out, but no way at all he's getting away with that.
I believe he's knocked it forward.
A wonderful kick by Harry Patterson again. Back into his 22 retreating, he smashed that down. It's outside of his 22. I reckon if Jalibert had let that go, it would have been a line out all the way back on the Scottish 22, but Mathieu Jalibert, catastrophe for him as well. He's palmed at that ball, he's knocked it on. France right back under the cosh. They're back to the full complement though. Winnie Antonio back to the field.
And Scotland have scored absolutely no points at all in the 10 minutes that Antonio has been onto the bin. But you've spotted another change here coming here for France.
It's number 20, Alexandre Rouma. You might remember his father, Olivier. The 1990s, a lock for the French side. And Alex has actually come through the same mini rugby club as my boy. He plays in Cap-Breton Hossegor. Alex was at Bordeaux, he's now at Toulouse where he's been exceptional. And they've actually hauled off two. They've hauled off Gabriel Ag and Cameron Walkie and Petro Movaka. Loads of changes in an attempt to reshuffle this pack and get their line out back on track. Pasolo Tuilagi and Julien Marchand, all three of them unloaded from the bench. Can they get this French pack a little bit of go forward? Can they solve the problems at line out?
That's a big power play by the French coaching staff to haul off both your second rows in one fail swoop. It says a lot about how that line out's been going and the power. They're going to put extra power now in this scrum. Don't forget, Tuilagi, 149 kgs, 19 years old. Where is he going to go in international rugby? As Scotland come away with the ball from the scrum, they're inside of the French 22. It's Scotland 13, it's France 10. The ball's gone over the French line. Was the Scottish hand of Ben White there to touch it down first, or was it Luku who was there? They're going to go and have to have a look at that. It was a loose ball.
Player, hit by French player and carried in and grounded by French player. For me, it's scrum fight.
Okay. You want to check this or you
No, I'm on scrum fight.
Okay.
Very clear by the referee
So
team.
it was all play on up until this point. It was knocked back by White and grounded by White. Okay, so there was no knock on by Blue. It's going to be a 5-metre scrum to Blue.
A bit of a ricochet in a collision.
Taken back
Looked
by
like the ball
White
had gone loose. It's been knocked back by the hand of a French player. Ball
5 metres out.
has then gone over the try line. They've dotted it down, so it'll be a scrum to Scotland on the 5-metre.
Anyone who was slightly worried about that decision being taken so quickly, Scotland were in no way trying to contest and trying to say, can you go and check this? I don't think Ben White even got a hand to it, so I think they're quite happy with that decision. They've ended up with a scrum.
It looks like the ball's been lost on the ground and knocked forward by Scotland in that ruck though.
So they're delighted with this. They've ended up with a scrum 5 metres out.
Goal by Blue.
Okay.
Well, there's all sorts going on now. The TMO's coming back involved.
I'll clean this up. Okay. So it was played in by Blue off the leg of Blue. So it's actually a goal line dropout, okay? Because it was grounded by White.
There we go.
It's a goal line dropout, guys, okay?
Got there eventually. Well, Scotland were about to get away with one ultimately, but they've come in now. The TMO's sorted things out. France will get to clear from a goal line dropout. It is Scotland 13, France 10, 48 minutes on the clock. 15 versus 15. The last big thing we saw was the French coaches deciding to change both their second rows at the same time. The line-out has been a bit of a disaster for the French so far. They have won 3, they've lost a couple, and they're just wondering if the changes they've made will make a big difference when they get the next opportunity at 1. But a lot of weight coming into that scrum as well, with Tuolangi onto the field. Right, Scotland gather the ball on the halfway line and they run it back up towards the 10 metre. Back inside to Tuipulotu, who almost manages to break the tackle. Gives it now to Christie, the Saracens man. He's over to the 22. That's the first real carry we've seen them, but it's a penalty for France at the breakdown.
4 players isolated. Yeah, he's all over. He's isolated.
Okay, and it looks like we've got Aldrit, who's just taken a hit to the head.
Yeah, hands on the ground.
And there's a little bit of treatment going to come on straight away for him. And Darge is getting the warning there for not supporting his body weight.
Again, it's great work by Greg Aldrit to get back there and compete, but the initial replay shows that his hands clearly go to the floor before they go to the ball. At least one of them goes down to interpretation of Nick Berry. There's a big intervention by Greg Aldrit on the back foot. A decent half line break by Scotland, getting France on the back foot. A big penalty, big moment for the French captain. Doesn't look well though, he's still flat out on his back.
We all good with the contact?
I think he's actually having a little bit of treatment to his legs that we can't see at the moment, Aldrit. It's not that he's had anything happen to the top half of his body, something's happened to the lower half. They're actually bringing on the stretcher straight away. So something has happened on the far side there, and it might even be that they're just looking about how he was cleared out from that last ruck. So Nick Berry is just allowing all of the medics to take their time here, and this is a big moment. Gregory Aldrit, he's such an important player, but I think he's hurt his leg.
Oh, you can see with the replay clutching straight away. I've kind of had a similar injury in this scenario. You go down to Jackal and you get cleared out really heavily, and all the weight goes through your back foot, so it looks like that's potentially a lower leg injury. On his left side, you can see them strapping him up already. I actually, with the exact same, did my syndesmosis, which is a part of my body I didn't know exist until I injured it.
Easy for you to say.
Exactly, syndesmosis, which is...
All right, don't show off.
Hang on, there you go. Said it again twice. I'm not sure if it's right. We'll get corrected probably.
What is it?
A bit of your leg, basically. Long story short. But I hope for Greg it's not that, because he's taken a 3-month sabbatical post-World Cup.
Yeah.
He's had a rest, he's fresh, he's hungry. You can see he's trying to have an effect. He's carried really well. And it's Paul Boudahan that's going to come on. Man, he was a late sort of addition to the World Cup squad, and actually is excellent for La Rochelle week in, week out. But fortunately Greg doesn't look like he's suffering too much or in too much pain, but it's that type of injury where something goes and you feel it and you know something's not right. You call the medics, get me off.
So Aldrit is going to make his way off. Borderant is on, as you say. He actually only made his Six Nations debut last week, but this is where he does slightly pay off that France, as a tradition now, they go for a 6-2 split on the bench. So they've got this extra forward power. They're also going to make another change. So Nolan Lagarec is going to come on. And this is a little bit exciting if you follow your French rugby, because as not history, that's the wrong word, but of course Lagarec, he plays at Racing 92. That's where Finn Russell played his rugby at France. So these two know each other. Now, they're not directly going head-to-head, but they're not too far apart from each other.
They know each other very well, and that's the beauty of having players like Finn playing in France. As we see Greg Aldrit getting strapped up now as they try to get him on to the stretcher. Again, France have had to roll the dice. The 6-2 split, yes, but nothing has worked. They've been bang average. There's still only 3 points in this game. 30 minutes to go, but they have to roll the dice. Their line-out has been abysmal. They have to make changes there. Lagarec, can he interject something as he did in the second period against Ireland last weekend? That's the hope. What can they show? They need to show something different, because they have been fairly poor so far.
Okay, well, they're just doing a few more replays at the moment of the foot of Gregory Aldrit that just got caught on the floor as the player came over the top, and it could be his foot, it could be his knee. You now think it's his knee. Do I not have to say seismognosis anymore? I can't remember what you said. Is that it?
I'm not sure if it's a gash or if it was, a flesh wound. That sounds horrible, but there is blood pouring from his left knee, and I thought it was lower down, but I don't know. I mean, he's sitting up. He looks fine. He's a tough old boy, and he's got like a lot of history here. This is a fixture he loves. His brother Scott lives in Edinburgh. He was here for his brother's wedding at Gleneagles just a few months
wedding,
ago.
That. I'd go to that wedding. Have you been to a wedding at Gleneagles? I bet you have.
No,
just a few.
Too rough for that kind of place. I can't take my Haribos there. But look, he's a wonderful bloke, an incredible competitor, and you just hope that whatever it is he's done, he's back soon.
Okay, 49 minutes on the clock. It's Scotland 13, France 10 here on 5 Sports Extra. The unfortunate sight of the France captain, Gregory Aldrit, being stretchered off the field. They put his leg in a sort of like blow-up cast to keep it still. We're completely speculating on what he's done, but he is sat up. He doesn't appear to be in too much discomfort, is the good news. But is that going to be the end of his Six Nations? On the basis of how he's gone off the field, it looks highly likely. But on 50 minutes, it is the French who've managed to kick the ball down the field. They've got the line out on the halfway line. We're back underway here at Murrayfield. A lot of changes have gone on for France. They've used a lot of their bench so far as they try and work their way around the field. Now France just need to hold on to their ball in attack in particular. Bai now goes forwards. Gathered ball now by Lagarec onto the field. Maxime Lucu did not have the nightmare of a game that he had last time out, but it is half an hour that's been given now to Lagarec as now we get to see the hard yards being worked through the middle of the field here, this time by Jonathan Donty, who perhaps hasn't quite been as alive as we'd expect him to be in this fixture. Huge hits going in as Jalibert then gets it back, and it's taken forward by Olivon.
The oof from the stadium was the first carry by Pozzolo Tuilagi as he ran over Scott Cummings.
As they manage to get out towards the far side, the foot chase is on. Biel Barry is trying to hack down Patterson. Patterson, is he going to be taken over his own line? Has he just managed to keep that in the field of play? They are piling forwards. The referee, I think, is going to deem that somehow Patterson has managed to keep that in the field of play and hasn't got over the try area. Well done, Patterson, again. Still not put a foot wrong in this fixture as the clearance kick comes in the end by Ben White. Out on the far side of field, it'll be a French line out on the Scottish 22.
An encouragement from the Frenchmen in this stadium. France winning their first line out. Alex Bouma, immediate impact, getting the drive. Julien Marchand tearing onto ball. 2-3 carries. Tuilagi, a bit of impetus in the game. A kick chase. And France now, what can they do with ball? Can they hold possession in this Scottish 22 and strike only 3 points in this game? Can the impact add that bit of freshness?
And we haven't had a score in this game since 31, so 20 minutes have gone by now and no one has scored. Scotland 13, France 10. Ball comes in. France do have it back on their side. Donty, did he knock that on the floor? Yes, he did. Huge frustration, and Rory Darge there getting slightly up in the face of Jonathan Donty, really riling up the French.
Let's play the knock on, please.
And Nick Berry just saying, can we play the knock on? But Scotland, they are really trying to annoy and frustrate the French here.
Well, again, it comes from pressure. Scotland have built terrific pressure. They get up in the air, they compete, they get in front of Charles Olivon. The quality of ball again is poor. Ball shoveled out to Jonathan Donty to his feet. There's nothing he can do. He has to take it off his bootstraps.
Let's button up, please, boys.
Not easy for the French. That was a real chance for them.
Very unlike also Jonathan Donty, you know, 2 times Champions Cup winner with La Rochelle. That kind of a mistake. 31 years old now. Whenever you look up and you see Donty and Ficou in that centre partnership, you always seem to be somewhat calmed from a French perspective. But it's been a reasonably quiet game so far for Jonathan Donty. Haven't seen so much of him. He's not done too many carries. Only 9 metres made as the scrum has gone down. It's a free kick to Scotland. Willie Antonio can't believe what he's hearing as Scotland get on with it. They send it down the field. That's an enormous kick. Penaud has to go deep back inside. Ramos, with a little bit of a show and go, gives it back to Penaud, who loses the ball in contact. And I have to say, no advantage needed to be played. Scotland's pressure on this French team, the French cannot live with them at all. All of a sudden, ball knocked on, back down inside of the French half. It's a Scotland scrum just outside of the French 22.
Just incredible how a game like this can flick so quickly. A scrum for France on the 22, chance to launch with something, It's the quick thinking, it's the rugby IQ of Finn Russell, the nous to turn them, taking that quick tap. Earned from France, pushing too early at the scrum, get them on the back foot. The work collectively, Duhan van der Merwe to get up in the face of Thomas Ramos, force him back inside, and the scramble D of the rest of the Scottish backline. Terrific effort and a real advantage gain.
Just waiting now for Ben White to pack back down. 3 tries he scored in a Scotland shirt before today. Went over for his 4th in the first half. 1 try apiece as this scrum goes down to ground. Ben White scored after 7 minutes. Gaël Fickou went over for France on 31 as they just reset this scrum on either side. Nick Berry just sorting a few things out. Huge changes have come in from France. They've used most of their bench now. Don't have too many options available. And let us not forget, in the second half last week against Wales, it all went wrong for Scotland. And so far, it's a much better second half. Oh, Johnny Beattie, you don't want me to say it, do you? If I just jinxed it.
Stop it. Come on, 3-point game. Still so much rugby to be played. Yes, it's positive, but this is an arm wrestle. It is tight, and this could still very easily go either way, which is making me very nervous.
Okay, right. Scotland 13, France 10. They've reset the scrum again. Ball is in from wide. It's gone down on this near side. It looked like France went down first, and they did. They're playing advantage to Scotland as a result. Tuipulotu pops off the ball to Jones. Now back to Russell. Big pass out wide. Here comes Patterson. He had a row outside of him, decides not to use him, but they were running out of space, so quite a good decision. Darge is there waiting to carry the ball. He's on the 22-metre line. We're still playing advantage at the moment to Scotland. Comes back now to Schoeman, and this time Russell with the ball in 2 hands, tries to send Jones through a hole. Read nicely though by the French, who are holding Scotland on the 22-metre line for now. This time we get to see Fagerson trundle forward with the ball. Who's going to break through that gain line? Get a bit closer. The French defensive line, orchestrated by Sean Edwards, is holding for now. 3-point game. Scotland 13, France 10, and they come back for the advantage.
Okay, so there's no advantage.
Going absolutely nowhere. It must be a second advantage as well.
Yeah, the initial advantage was for
number 10 outside.
Collapsing at the scrum. The secondary one has been in the midfield. Number 10, Mathieu Jalibert, coming up, too eager with his effort at line speed.
I assume you want this one?
Right, Finn Russell's just going in to have a little bit of a chat with the referee, and unsurprisingly he's actually deciding this time he's going to kick at goal. So on 56 minutes, right, I'm just listening in, they're calling in.
And then afterwards number 1 as well.
Number 1?
Yeah.
Side 2? Offside 2?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Number 1?
Offside, I believe.
So they're just giving a warning there, I think, for what the penalties were for. No one's going off the field there by France as Russell just lines up this penalty straight in front of the posts on the 22-metre line. Now, Scotland did have a chance to get these 3 points just before the half-time, decided to turn it down and try and run it. Came away with nothing. This would make it a 6-point game rather than 3. And that is exactly what happened. So it is Scotland 16, France 10. And I'm just keeping a close eye. So they're going to make changes here. That's what all that chat was with the referee. So Winnie Antonio is now permanently going off the field. Coming on his place is Dorian Aladegheri. And I think they're also making changes there as the ball just goes down. Is it a hooker? No, it's Cyril Bai who's coming off, and so Toa Fafanua is onto the field. Right then, restart then from France. Managed to land the ball inside of the Scotland 22. It's Scotland 16, France 10. Box kick then from White down the far side of the field. Waiting there to gather it calmly is Ramos. He runs the high ball up into the air. We said he's been playing quite a bit of fly half at his club recently. Back at Toulouse. How is Romain Ntamack doing? I just assume you know how every French player is doing in France.
He's due to be back in April, but we had Antoine Dupont over getting ready for the Sevens, but he was playing standoff for Toulouse.
I saw it on whatever social media I was on. It was amazing. It's always amazing when it's Dupont.
Outrageous.
Absolutely crazy. Amazing. It doesn't matter what number's on his back. He does incredible things, of course. So Dupont not playing in this Six Nations. I'm sure you already know this, but he's going to be going away shortly and having a little spell with the French Sevens. He'll then go back to Toulouse for a short period before then what he'd like to do is try and help France to a gold medal at the Olympics in Paris this summer, but not here in the Six Nations for now. Far side of the field, it is France with the ball.
Just hold there.
Goes in to be gathered by Lagarec, and just the potency of the French attack just feels so flimsy. There's no real bite to it at all.
Well, it's gone up a little level, and the quality of the carries by Tuilagi, Marchand are better, but they're all in the middle of the field.
They really are, as there's a great take out on the far side by Russell. Read the ball beautifully, makes a lovely long body position to place the ball backwards, and he's trying to get it back because there was huge numbers of French players coming over the top. Scotland held on to that just. They work their way back round the corner again, but they've lost a little bit of ground there. Scotland have it inside of their own half.
Okay, use that.
And this is really good game management, I have to say, by Ben White. He's been told to use it, but he's just slowing everything down, so anything that was going France's way is just sort of sucked the life out of them as it's gathered on the far side of the field once again. Run forward by the yellow boots of Ramos. Feels a little bit like deja vu rugby sometimes here at Murrayfield. France need to find a new play, a new trick up their sleeve. On the halfway line, few forwards just throwing their bodies in. Lagarec, ball is there, presented on a plate for him. High ball then comes in by Jalibert. The foot chase is on. Ficou is there underneath it, but it's Patterson who says, oh, was Patterson taken in the air? Referee's happy he was on the floor.
They're on the
little
body.
Bit of noise went up there. Not sure if the TMO will look at that. Ball comes back this time, taken on by Schoeman.
Terrific take by the youngster again, though. First cap at Murrayfield under all sorts of pressure. Lovely leap into the air. Beautiful take.
And the box hit comes in by White, taken on this near side by Jalibert. Again, neither side is playing in their own halves at the moment, so they're just going for a little bit of field position, then trying to kick it away. As I say that, France, they've made their way to the middle of the field inside of their own half, now running it out of their own half, which is quite surprising actually, considering the position they are in this match at the moment. Ramos and Ficou, they are playing at the moment on their own 10-metre line. Slightly bizarre. You'd love to know what messages are coming on from the coaching staff when they're doing this.
It's madness in that Scotland are getting out of their 22, good kick chase, getting France on the back foot up to their own 40, and France are trying to go through multi-phase and create something in completely the wrong areas of the field. So Scotland really under very little pressure, happy to chip every single ball back.
And that's exactly what Finn Russell does. It goes down. It's not quite going to be a 50-22. Is the ball going to roll over the line? Oh, that could have been anything. It ends up being a touchdown. They'll restart with a goal line dropout. But regardless of how that passage of play ended, France, they went through all of that effort, and all of a sudden they've constructed a box kick which is too long, they can't get to, and Russell sends them all to turn around and have a goal line drop. It's rubbish.
It is.
Sorry.
But it's their detail that's way off, and we're not used to seeing it. Your Moefana comes on now for Jonathan Danty, but their detail is way off, and again, this is why I'm nervous. We haven't really seen much, if anything, and there's still only 6 points in the game. So
Johnny Beattie here with us on 5 Sports Extra. It's Scotland 16, France 10 here in week 2 of this Six Nations clash. The opening match, of course, of this weekend. Coming up after this, we will be heading to Twickenham for England against Wales. That'll start here on Sports Extra before moving on to 5 Live. And don't forget, again, tomorrow it continues. We've got Ireland, who everyone just thinks is going to walk to this championship title at the moment, hosting Italy at the Aviva Stadium. That one will be here on Sports Extra, kicking off at 3. Right, from the goal line dropout, the ball has eventually ended up inside of the Scotland half, just over the halfway line. It's Scottish ball.
Okay, use it now. It's available.
And Ben White, who has been really quite fantastic in how he has moved the Scotland team around today, and kept his forwards in the right place. And Pierre Barry now has the ball. He pushes it out towards the far side. He's been hacked down the field by France. It's Russell who gathers as he wrong foots Ramos to send it back. There's only one French player in the backfield. Russell managed to find Jalibert. Jalibert uses the right boot to send it back down the field. A little bit of ping pong coming everyone's way for the time being. Rowe now has it, and he just waits there for Jalibert to arrive before he kicks it to make sure he gets a little bit more out of the legs. Rowe now chasing down the throat of Ramos as he sends it down the field. This time Patterson has it. He's going to run up. He's been told straight away there, the moment that the French players were onside. Ramos now
Hold White!
This is Murrayfield. It is not Wimbledon, everyone. Bear with us for the time being. As we're watching Nick Berry, who's the only person moving back and forward on the field now. They were waiting for Russell to just advance forward so the offside line could be taken away. Russell sends it out of play, and as soon as he does, oh, France, they've taken the line out quickly, but they're going to lose ground in that the Scottish players just knew what was going to happen. And France are now attacking once again inside of their own half, 10 metres in. They're just not thinking a couple of stages ahead, and every time they get the ball and go for an attack.
Let it come.
Scotland 16, France 10, 64 minutes on the clock. Scotland are in charge of this game, although on the scoreboard it is still tight. It won't be comfortable if you are Scottish and you are listening to this. As Harry Patterson on debut, oh, that was a lovely pass, but they couldn't quite get to Pelotti on the end of it as it goes towards this near side. It's been gathered out here by Hugh Jones. It's inside of the Scottish half. Scotland have done so well to hold on to that ball, as France also give away a penalty at the breakdown as well. Comes back this time to Russell, who sends it down the field. Nick Berry is watching the ball as it goes out of play. Doesn't matter. They'll come back for the penalty. And nothing France do is coming to anything.
They're being squeezed very effectively by Scotland. Ben White, Finn Russell, kicking game so far impeccable. France frustrated there, attacking that last rock, coming off their feet, losing their discipline. Finn Russell knowing it's a free play, he can kick the ball away, it doesn't matter. We come back for the penalty. Scotland now 15 minutes to go, in control. They've got a penalty to get into the French half, try and generate something positive. Another 3 points would take this game away from France, which would be absolutely huge. An epic 15 minutes coming to close out this game.
Absolutely huge. 66 minutes on the clock. Scotland 16, France 10. Worth remembering that France, they've lost the last 2 test matches to New Zealand in that South Africa, of course, in that quarter-final, and then Ireland last week. But they've not lost 3 in a row since the 2018-19 season. So you can imagine how the French fans are feeling right now about what is going on with this squad. They've been used to consistent success. They are not used to this as Flower of Scotland goes out around Murrayfield. Scotland come away with the line out. They kick it down inside. Oh, that's a really nice kick from Russell, and it's unable to be taken there by Penaud. It looked like he knocked on the ball, but Nick Berry says no, it went backwards. In the end, France managed to smash the ball back down the other end of the field. It's gathered inside of the 22 this time by White. He sends it back cool as anything. Doesn't find touch. Finds Ramos. Oh, this is beginning to feel a bit familiar now. This second half. We are playing ping pong. The only person moving is Nick Berry as they give it back to Russell. Russell uses the right boot, sends it flying through the Scottish sky, and it's gathered out on the far side. No one really there chasing. And Nick Berry's job is just screaming at people to not get offside.
Well, France are wasting the game.
Well,
they're going for this. They're kicking the ball deep, aiming for a territory gain, but then they're not chasing. Scotland aren't obliged.
They're all on.
Well, the warning is France think that all of Scotland are offside, and they're not. Nick Berry is telling them permanently, I don't know what Scotland are trying to get at, and they've knocked on the ball out on the far side. It came off a blue hand, they're going to say. So because it's come off a blue hand, it's not gone backwards. They're going to come back now. I mean, this game is getting farcical.
You kicked it into someone in front, okay? That one all the way back there. No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Charles Ollivant is trying to get clarity from the referee Nick Berry about what's going on. But this game, at the moment, I don't think France know what they're doing. I think Scotland do.
From 11, putting everyone on side.
I'm a little bit embarrassed for the French team at the minute. That's the kind of stage I'm at, in that normally they're so proud, they have such an intent about the way they want to play, but right now, and again, they still could win this game. That's what I can't get my head around. That Scotland are in control because it's a non-match. It's a kicking battle. Nobody's wanting to do anything with the ball. Scotland don't need to, but France do. They have to generate something in a half-decent area of the field, whether that is, and again, they keep kicking the ball long for a territory game, but they have to run it back half, not play ball in hand in their half, but they have to at least run it back half and then create a contestable kick, or generate something to give them a 20-30 metre go forward and try and get the ball back. Scotland don't need to do that, and I don't think France understand that they have to change something about where they're playing. Otherwise they could just play ping pong for the next 10 minutes and lose the game.
And just to play devil's advocate for that, as they just scrum down, it's a France ball 10 metres inside of Scottish territory. Scotland, this game is not safe yet. 69 minutes, one converted try, and France are ahead on the scoreboard as they flood down the left-hand channel. Of course, they lost their captain in Gregory Aldrit as Beattie just breaks away down the left. It's Beattie. Is he going to catch this one and score? Yes, he is! Oh, playing devil's advocate, sometimes you can see it unfold on the field in front of you. It's now Scotland 16, France 15, and a conversion puts France in the lead for the first time in the fixture.
And we talked about that one opportunity, and there it is. From nothing, France. Creative intent. They attack the blindside. Krol attacking that blindside, drawing in Scottish defenders. Simple play. Louis Beattie has a one-on-one with the fullback Patterson, chips it over the top, and then it's a foot race. And we know this man is absolutely rapid. The finish is absolutely perfect. He hoofs the ball into the stand in celebration because he knows how much this means. This has not been a good performance, and they are back in this game. A chance now to go ahead, and if they win this game, what a win this would be for French rugby. They have been appalling for 70 minutes.
I mean, I think Johnny Beattie has summed up this game pretty perfectly. 70 minutes on the clock, a conversion here from Thomas Ramos to put France in the lead in what has been an awful second half for the spectators here at Murrayfield. There's no two ways about it. There's been so little to say I was there in that moment on Murrayfield on that day. It's just been a real awful kicking contest that has looked pretty spineless from France, who just couldn't figure out what they were trying to achieve from it, and they were losing it on every occasion. Then from nothing, a break down the left, hack through ball, Beattie on it. Now Thomas Ramos does what Thomas Ramos does. France are in the lead. Scotland 16, France 17. They've got 2 tries to Scotland's 1, and there is 8.5 minutes for Scotland to go and try and wrestle this game back.
And this game now on a knife edge, 1 point game. Can Scotland generate a penalty? Can France clear their lines?
Penaud goes in to gather his 50th cap in a France shirt, goes into the sky, goes back down to the ground. France trying to hold onto the ball, wearing their white shirts. Round the corner, getting involved is Tao Fifanua. Change here as well. Schoeman making his way off the field. Alec Hepburn, only a second cap for him as he comes towards this near side of the field. The ball is hacked out by France. Not made a great amount of ground, I have to say. And they just need to keep their heads if they're going to hold on to this lead. As Scotland go in for a little huddle now. They're not meant to have huddles anymore at line-outs, but I'm guessing Nick Berry will let them get away with it. France is saying, where are they? We need to get on with this.
Well, Scotland now need to execute. You can see the reason for a huddle. They've been very good at winning their own line-out ball, pinning France onto the back foot. All the Frenchies around us now singing Qui ne saute pas n'est pas français, which means if you're not jumping, you ain't French, effectively. They're all bouncing around us. They feel they're back in this game, and they've turned the ball back over.
And they have, as the French fans just concentrate on the rugby. There's been a little bit of a knock at the line out to one of the French players, but they've still got the ball as they hack it down the field. So they've managed to push Scotland back inside of their 22. It's Scotland 16, France 17 here at Murrayfield. France have trailed throughout this whole match. They played some pretty rough rugby, we have to say, but somehow by the skin of their teeth they are leading here now, and they need to try and hold on and try and extend this lead. Scotland, who've played some pretty strong heads up rugby, now have to find their way back into this as the ball is sent back down the field. Jalibert is there inside of the French 22 on the left hand side of us. Sent back now to Russell. Russell inside the 22. Now, Scotland don't have so much time now to muck around with this silly kicking game that we've been adjusted to now in this second half. Eventually, Russell sends the ball off the field, but it's a French line-out on the halfway line.
And France now, if they're smart, if they can win their line-out ball, you create a maul.
And that's a big.
It's a big. It's a big. But then Alex Roumat, that's why he's been brought into the side. He's now on. He's calling with Charles Olivon. A 4+1. Pasolo Tuilagi is the +1. Can they win this ball? Can they hold it? Can they squeeze Scotland? Can they get them on the back foot? Or what can Scotland generate?
Oh, well, the good news is that the French line-out is still pretty rubbish in this Six Nations, but they've won a penalty. Scotland have been accused of pulling down the man at the line-out, and France get a vital penalty at an important moment.
That is absolutely huge. It's Cummings, and again, that's clear as day. He's gone up, he's taken the arm of Charles Ollivant. I thought he disrupted and done very well, but he's taken away the arm of Charles Ollivant. Penalty for Scotland, and the clock is ticking. Now, what, 5.5 minutes left. France with a penalty in the halfway line. A real opportunity to knock their way up to the Scottish 22 and try and retain possession. So again, the complexion of this game completely turned on itself. And Scotland now in a hole. Can they dig their way out? Can they get the ball back? As the Marseillaise starts to ring out, the French fans starting to believe, probably for the first time in this game, that they can win.
What a line out coming. 74 minutes on the clock. Scotland 16, France 17. And it's a French line out just outside of the Scottish 22. Scotland don't even try and go into the air to contest that really long throw that went well for France. We're not used to seeing them operating well in line out so far in this Six Nations, and it's still moving. There's a huge amount of French forwards in there as the Scottish players are told to get out of them all. They've made about 10 metres now from the line out, and this is still moving from the French. They don't want to lose this. They want to stay stuck in there. We're playing penalty advantage now to the French. That's an important penalty, so they don't care. They've got a free hit here to try and do something. Jalibert pushing the ball out wide to Ramos. Ramos with a kick through once again. It's gone out of play on the far side. They'll come back for the penalty, and Ramos will take as long as he wants to kick this at goal.
And on comes the French power, and again all the Scottish optimism of the first 60 minutes. The Scottish power, or underpowered rather, French power turned on. They turned the screw at maul time. Scotland in from the side. They've given away a penalty in front of the posts, so France could extend this lead to 4. Scotland would then have to score a try, which hasn't looked likely in the second period.
Okay, I'm just saying that the referee at the moment has not stopped the clock, and there is a French player down receiving a bit of treatment right where the kick is going to be taken. 76 minutes now, Scotland 16, France 17. And I did see a little bit earlier Cameron Walkie warming up again, but he seems to have gone and sat back down again. I wasn't quite sure about what was going to happen there.
We've also got Cameron Redpath. Looks like he's readying himself to come on and try and generate something out of nothing in the last 3 minutes.
Okay, Ramos is going to take this kick at goal, and he's going to take it with half of the population of France packed into Murrayfield to encourage him over with the national anthem. And there you go, he's got that one through. Ramos, what an afternoon he is having. He's 4 from 4 with the boot, and that means it's now a 4-point game here with 3.5 minutes to play. Scotland 16, France 20. This will be a crushing defeat for Scotland. They've gone for the short restart. There's a number of Scotland players there. It is gathered in the end that time by Ashman. Scotland need a try. They need it within the next 3 minutes.
Tackle!
Ball comes back from White, who hasn't come off the field. So far, him and Russell look like they're going the full 80. Scotland ball, they've been pushed back by the French defence towards the halfway. Van der Merwe, he's pushed back inside of the Scottish half now, as France are just trying to play heads up defensive rugby, maybe snaffle that ball back if they can, but just make sure Scotland stay in their own half. Run forward this time by Ashman again, with fresh legs on the field. Scotland 16, France 20, nearly 2.5 minutes left. Still Scottish ball as they're starting to put these phases together now. You're listening here on Sports Extra. We will head to Twickenham for all the build up to England against Wales, but we've got a grandstand finish coming this way at Murrayfield. Tuipulotu on the ball. Scotland working their way around the corner, but they're still on the halfway line for the time being. Bit of fresh legs going forward this time through Skinner. The Edinburgh lock trying to add a bit as Penno flies out of the line to slow down Rowe. Here's Kyle Rowe! Kyle Rowe out on his own! Can he be the hero? He tries to run step Ramos. He's 10 metres then from the French line. Not to be. It's gone forward on the floor. What an effort by Kyle Rowe. It will restart with 1.5 minutes on the clock, and we have a French scrum coming.
Oh, what a moment for Kyle Rowe. Back on his own 40, he's managed to beat 6 French defenders,
Time off.
former Sevens international, London Irishman, a man that also was working for Amazon about 18 months ago after losing his contract after
3
London Irish.
redundancies.
I mean, incredible story. And he has nearly single-handedly won the game for Scotland. He's taken them up to the 5-metre line. He's lost the ball in contact. And the French now a minute and a half to play. Can they see out this scrum? Can they retain possession? Can they wind the clock down? Is that the game, or can Scotland win this ball back? Can they create something?
If you're just joining us here on Sports Extra, where have you been? What have you been doing? It's a bit of a test match here. 78 minutes, 39 seconds on the clock. Scotland 16, France 20. Scotland have absolutely bossed and led this game the entire way through up until the 69th minute when Beattie went over for the French, who played some pretty awful rugby but seemed to be turning on in the last 10 minutes. We've just seen Kyle Rowe make a break that could have gone over to win the game for Scotland, but he knocked the ball on as he went into contact. We now have a French scrum 10 metres out from the French line. I mean, if ever there was going to be a big scrum, but I could be wrong. I think this might go to ground.
Well, look, if you're Xander Fagerson, you have to be targeting your opposite man here. Sebastian Tauifafanua, currently at Lyon, not known for being a scrummager. This is the one chance you have to go double shove. As soon as that ball comes in, all 8 men, everything through this French scrum. Can you push them off their own ball? Can you force the scrum half to knock on, or number 8 to guddle at the base? Huge moment.
Okay, ball is in. Scotland are pushing for their absolute lives, but France, they do get it out and it goes. That's not going down to the ground. It's Mofana who was charged with taking it on. Scotland need the ball desperately. Finn Russell in there gathers it. How on earth did he do that? Russell managed to snaffle the ball. What a moment from the Scotland captain. Less than a minute to play. Scotland 16, France 20. Scotland with the ball 5 metres out from the French line. They work round the corner. Still Scottish ball. Someone's going to have to be a hero to try and win this one. Fagerson, he works his way forward. 2 metres left. It's a 4-point game. Scotland have to score. They have to get the 5 points. 3 is not enough. 30 seconds left to go. They switch back direction. Taken forward this time by Skinner. This French defence needs to be on its game. Russell calling in the forwards, calming things down. Still the forwards. They need some fresh legs. Still Scotland. The clock has 10 seconds left on it. They are right up to the line, but they're not over it yet. Christie is there. That looks like it's driven over, but is it going to be held up?
Short, let it come.
Nick Berry has been turling. They need to use it again. The clock is in the red. It comes back again. Is that over? Is that over the line? Nick Berry will go and check.
I'm going to check it, guys.
Nick Berry's going to check, but France are convinced that has been held up.
Guys, we're going to take our time. I'm going to check it just to make sure.
Russell has asked. Nick
here.
Berry's going to go to the TMO.
Coming to you here, mate. I've got the ball held up. I just want you to check to see the other angles to make sure the ball hasn't touched the ground. At the moment, my decision is on field, no try.
So the TMO has to see something
Nick,
clearly.
so on-field decision is held up.
That's right.
I'm going to work through as many angles as I can to see if we've got anything.
How's your heart rate, Johnny
on-field
Beattie?
decision's no try, guys, because I've got it held up. We're just checking the
Judging
other
by the
angles.
reaction of the Scottish players, I think this might be held up.
Okay, well, we're watching closely. Now, there is a boot, but is it down on the ground? And is it down on the ground from a French hand?
The Scottish players have changed their reaction. They now are celebrating.
This is a huge call, I have to say, because both France and Scotland are trying to celebrate this as their own.
Nick, this is very tight. Just stand by.
Yeah, that's fine.
Brian McNee.
I've got it initially.
Brian McNee is the TMO who's going to make this decision. And they're trying to get the players away from the screen. This could go either way. So basically, the Scottish player goes over the line. It initially goes down on a boot, but then it looks like it goes down for a second time.
But the images that we're seeing aren't conclusive with what we're given. There's nothing to clearly award this try. There has to be something.
I just want the captains here.
Okay, we're going to listen in. I mean, it's a huge decision. You don't like games being decided like this.
Yeah, mate.
It's Scotland.
Just hang on. There's one more that I just want to check. Just stand by.
The on-field decision is that this was held up over the line by France. They are looking to see if there is a grounding for Scotland. If they get the grounding, they win the game here at Murrayfield. If it's held up...
Just stand by, Nick. There's one more that we have that may give us the answers. Just stand by.
The noise in Murrayfield is absolutely off the scale here. Everyone is willing, the TMO, to give this as a try.
Yeah, Nick, just rock and roll that, please, for me.
You can just hear the TMO. When you hear rock and roll, it means they're just going backwards and forwards, Nick, on the camera angle to see who's touching it.
I'm just going to let this one play through, right? The ball is held up for now. And there is the ball on the ground. I'm just going to rock and roll that for you. Just stand by.
So it sounds like the TMO is saying that it has been grounded by Scotland by the language he is using. He has to overturn the on-field decision by Nick Berry to give the try to Scotland. To do that, it has to be conclusive.
Okay, Brian, so...
Nick,
listening?
Yep.
Go ahead, Nick.
So you're saying that the ball was initially on the foot, and then it's gone and grounded in goal, so I need to change my on-field decision to a try.
Yeah, Nick, I just need definitive evidence of the ball on the ground. So I need to go back onto that angle just to see, can I clearly see the ball on the ground?
Thank you.
Okay, so they're going to go and check one more angle, but I can tell you the faces here in the gantry from anyone who's Scottish has a big smile on them. They're feeling more positive all the time. The players down on the field.
So you can see it's on the foot here at the moment, Nick.
Yes.
Just rock and roll that once more, please.
They want to get this right. It has such a big moment, this. Absolutely enormous. Whatever happens here from this
cannot
decision.
say for certain. I don't have clear enough ball on ground, Nick.
Okay, all of a sudden
so
they don't have the ball on the ground.
Evidence, I need to stick with my on-field decision, is that right?
Yes.
Oh, from all of the hope.
Guys, I want to explain this.
One more angle here. No, I can't see it there.
You need to come back to me. Okay, guys, my on-field decision was held up, okay, because the ball was on the foot. It checked all camera angles. There is no conclusive evidence to say that it was a try. So there's no try, it's held up, game's over.
Heartbreak for Scotland. It is all over. Somehow France have done it. They played some terrible rugby, but the score sheet says they win. The full time at Murrayfield is Scotland 16, France 20. What an end to this fixture. The whole of Murrayfield is deflated. We can see the odd French scarf being waved in the air, but oh my goodness. Johnnie Beattie, the roller coaster of those 3 minutes of the television match official. Not given, not given. No win for France. No win for Scotland.
I don't know what to say. Weird, I don't think either side deserved to win that game. I'm not sure that's a fair thing to say. And for it to be ended like that, a check of the check, and they were checking. I mean Nick Berry on field is no try, therefore it has to be conclusive. That's what we said. You have to have conclusive evidence from the replay to change his mind and change his decision. We couldn't get that. Murrayfield would disagree. I think everyone watching the game back home felt that there was probably enough, but it wasn't enough conclusive evidence for the video to award the try. So I mean, France, by the skin of their teeth. I mean, they were absolutely dreadful. Let's be honest.
Gregor Townsend is still in the technical area for Scotland. He's looking out. He can't believe what has just happened. He's shaking his head. Surely on 69 minutes, he thought, we have got France's number.
They'd done enough. They had done enough to control the game, but we spoke about it through the entirety of the first period. If France burst into life, get any quality of ball, and have one half-decent opportunity to score and convert, they will. So Louis Diaybari, the hero, he's come into this side to add a little bit of spice, something different, a bit of X-factor, and that's exactly what we got. He wins the game for France. He will be the hero. But France could have quite easily lost that game. Scotland could have very easily been the winners. So big disappointment for Scotland. You can see Gregor Townsend in the technical area next to us. Complete deflation. Because you thought for everything for 60 minutes that was going to be a Scottish win.
He's still there, Gregor Townsend. He still can't believe what has happened in the final 10 minutes of that match. I mean, I'll be honest, anyone who is French has watched that probably can't believe it either, because we watched some turgid rugby from them. It wasn't very intelligent rugby either,
No.
how they went about their attack, and it was just that one moment of brilliance down the left flank with Beattie having the gas to finish it off.
Well, for French rugby fans, I mean, the questions will still be there. Like, what is our team? How do we play? What do we produce? Because they didn't produce much of anything for 75 minutes of that game. So the fact that they've got away with a win, I mean, they've ticked a box, maybe a little bit more confidence back going into the next round, but my oh my, they were not pretty to watch by any stretch of the imagination.
Gregor Townsend's actually just finally left the technical area, as have his coaches now. They're walking behind us here in the gantry, solemn faces, and you can completely understand why. Right, what does all of that mean? I can tell you it means that France are on the board finally in the Six Nations after picking up absolutely nothing last week against Ireland. They get 4 points. That'll push them up the table. Scotland, they get one losing bonus point, which is scant, you have to say, consolation for the efforts they actually put in here at Murrayfield. Finn Russell played an absolute blinder to actually put them in the mix there at the end. He was on top of everything, a real captain's performance. Rory Darge as well, coming back from injury, the performance he put in. But it is ultimately the French who come away with this victory. Is there any other honourable mentions, Johnny Beattie, before we go off air? Because very soon there is another enormous fixture waiting for our 5 Sports Extra listeners at Twickenham.
I think the only last honourable mention is to Greg Aldrit. He's a good mate, was trying to get his side on the front foot, and he's come off with a really nasty injury. So after his sabbatical, we wish him all the best. His family's here in the stadium, and we hope that it's not too bad for him. Top man and a speedy recovery.
Johnny Beattie, thank you so much for joining us here on Sports Extra. You can hear more of Johnny's thoughts after we've had a moment to compose ourselves on the Rugby Union Daily podcast, which will be on the whistle from Twickenham and here at Murrayfield in your inboxes wherever you get your podcast from first thing tomorrow morning. The first match of round 2 has gone the way of the French. They've won it 20 points to 16 here at Murrayfield.